Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is a pile of shit.
The company and the IP, and that the studio wanted another Indiana Jones movie.
I didn't understand why it needed to exist.
No surprise there. I'm sure everyone knew this film was going to be fucking garbage the second it was announced. We got an 80-year-old star in it that's trying to pretend that he could still be Indiana Jones for some fucking reason. And it's a movie about him being old.
And I think that's
fantastic.
To have an older person in an action movie.
But I just have to say, as someone that is a fan of Indiana Jones, who the fuck asked for this film? Who is out here advocating for a new Indiana Jones film? Because I had the impression that everyone was in agreement that, yeah, the last one was a giant dumpster fire, and you shouldn't make another one. And you know what? The ending of that one was fine for him, okay? He gets married, he sails off, he's fucking perfect. Okay, sure. But no, here we are. Good old James Mangold. For this video, I'm going to call him Jim, because it's just easier that way.
The world of a college campus is a mostly white place, and the world of it's a kind of golden age of America.
And we got good old Joe Biden Jones in this movie.
You know, thank you for joining us as well. And for families across the country.
Oh boy. Now it's time to sit through this garbage and explain to you this fucking movie and tell you how bad it is. And let me tell you, we're on for a journey.
So let's dig in, pardon the pun. First, oh no, I already have an eye roll.
All right, so the movie starts off in World War II. Indiana Jones has been captured. He is being interrogated by some fucking
Nazi!
As you can tell, he's Rubberface. What I mean by Rubberface? Well, he's AI generated.
AI. Artificial intelligence.
Even though the cast and crew like to call it non-AI generated for some fucking reason. I don't know why. It's AI generated.
Many, many years ago, 35, 40 years of footage of me, not only the takes that were used, but the footage that wasn't used. And they're able to mine that for my face in different lights and with different expressions. Then I do act the scene with balls on my face.
Mm-hmm. Balls on my face.
And I wanted the last one to be balls on my face.
Mm-hmm.
And to give it some credit, there are shots in it that look okay. They're fine. They're decent. And then there's the shots that look like fucking garbage.
What the fuck is that?
And that's why I'm going to call him Rubberface for this beginning part. So, Rubberface is being interrogated. The Nazi wants to know, hey, what are you doing here? Why are you here? And he's like, oh, you have some nice stuff. Of course, Rubberface sounds like an 80-year-old man, so that's a little distracting, but whatever.
I like to be alone.
And then it pans over. Our main villain, played by Mads Mikkelsen. Now, Mads Mikkelsen's a pretty good actor, not gonna lie. He's very good in the films that he's in. The sad thing is, the films he's in are 99% dog shit. He's in some good ones, like Hannibal. Maybe Casino Royale. That's about it. But he's in this film, and he opens up an artifact that's a dagger type thing. Oh boy, daggers. Remember those from The Rise of Skywalker? My favorite. But don't worry, this dagger won't stay long. So he examines the dagger, and he gets it taken away before he can look at it even closer, because he knows something's wrong with it. Meanwhile, Rubberface Jones is getting hung right now while this is happening. He's shit-talking the Nazis, and all of a sudden, some random napalm bomb type thing lands inside the building with them. Doesn't go off when it first hits the ground. Instead, it just sits there, and then it starts sinking into the carpet. And then it falls even further, hitting the floors. Then it blows up. Okay, if you don't know how bombs work, they don't work like that. The second that the bomb hits the target, it fucking blows up. It won't just hit the floor of some fucking building and just sit there and then sink down to the ground further down and then blow up. That just doesn't make any goddamn sense. But that's the least of the issue of this fucking scene. The bigger issue is that this bomb blows up this entire building and all the Nazis in it, except for Indiana Jones, where he's hanging off of a weird fucking stick thing that's barely holding on, and he was able to swing himself off of it, and yeah, he's free now. How did Indiana Jones survive an explosion? No fucking clue. Why is he squirm around like a noodle? Because it's CGI. It's rubber Indiana Jones. It's perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. He's free now. He's all good. And then they put the dagger onto the train, so they take it to Hitler to show him, yo, we got a dagger for some reason, because Hitler wanted the dagger, I guess. Rubberface comes up to a car. He sees a man in the car. He knocks on the window. The man rolls down the window. He punches the guy, drags him out of the car like Grand Theft Auto style.
Don't make me shoot you, homie.
And not even 3 seconds later, 2
Nazi!
get inside the car with him. Now, what's the problem with this, you might be asking yourself? Well, there's a few. 1, there's Nazis behind him. The Nazis could clearly see him, and you could clearly see them behind Rubberface, okay? That's the big issue right there. 2, when he's in the car and 3 seconds later, 2 Nazis get inside of it, none of them saw the body next to the car? Are they just oblivious to that? How did that happen? So you might be wondering, why did he get in the car? Because he wants to catch up to the train to get to the dagger. And also, his friend has been taken from the Nazis somehow, and luckily his friend had his bag with him, which had his iconic hat and whip. Oh boy, and they played a theme. Oh, I bet you feel the chills on that scene. You just want to fucking, oh my god, it's member berries. I love that scene. That's all it's there for. It's great. It's wonderful. It's fantastic.
Very cool. Very cool.
So then Indiana Jones is driving down the road and he sees the train from a distance. He did a Fast and Furious drift so he could turn left.
I don't have friends. I got
Falls on my face.
Dramatic effect, I guess. So then the 2 Nazis behind him in the car with him are wondering, what the fuck are you doing? So the bikers start following him. And in this scene, he kills 2 of the Nazi bikers, and the 2 people in the back of the car with him don't do anything. They just sit there. They yell at him in German, but that's about it.
Hello? Anybody home?
I get that Nazis are retarded, but they're not this fucking stupid, okay? Even in the original films, they had some cleverness to them. Sort of. This is just garbage already. This is the first 5 minutes in the film, and it's just terrible. It's awful. It's so stupid. And it gets worse, because Indiana Jones is like, okay, I'm gonna put the helmet on the gas pedal, which I don't know how the helmet is staying on the gas pedal to begin with. So he jumps on the bike, and he throws the driver off the bike, and makes him get ran over by the car, which makes the car explode? Question mark? I don't know. The car exploded from a man getting ran over. Sure, whatever. And so now he has his passenger on his bike. And he doesn't know what to do with the passenger until he sees a random tree in the middle of a fucking field. I'm not even kidding. If I could show you the shot, it's legit just a fucking tree in the middle of a field. Just one single tree after being in a forest of trees. It's very bizarre. And he lines up the cart of this bike right onto that tree and knocks off the cart, and now it's just a single bike. Now, that's very fucking dumb, because he shouldn't have spun out of control on that and fucking flipped. He probably shouldn't have gotten real fucking injured on that, because those carts are really secure on a bike for a reason. So that shit doesn't happen. It's really fucking stupid. You might all be thinking these are really small problems, but these small problems add up the further a film goes. And the more problems like this you notice, the more frustrating the film becomes. For example, look at the series video I did on the entire Indiana Jones movies, right? I point out a lot of flaws in those films, especially the first and second one. But you can tell that the flaws that I'm finding, they're not huge, dramatic flaws. They're there, but they're not fucking annoying. This is already getting in annoying territory. It just gets worse from fucking here, if I'm honest with you. It gets so much worse. I'm glad I got my alcohol for this, because goddamn. And now Rubberface is on the train, and you hear the weird version of the Wilhelm scream, because of course you gotta have the Wilhelm scream. It wouldn't be an Indiana Jones film without it, of course, because that's all Lucasfilm knows, is that you need the Wilhelm scream, a hat and a whip, and an 80-year-old man to make these films. Nothing else, I guess. And we get a weird action scene. I don't want to call it an action scene, but I also don't want to call it a chase scene, because it's neither of those, but it's also very drawn out and shit. So Rubberface is on the train and he's running past it while his friend is getting interrogated about the whole thing, and Rubberface finds the box where the dagger is located. So Rubberface goes to get the dagger, but there's 2 guys in here just sleeping for some reason. They're just napping, and they think he's the general, which they don't notice that he has a bullet hole in the front of his outfit for some reason. They don't recognize that, and I found that very bizarre while watching the film, until he turns around and some guy points a flashlight at the back of his shirt. So now I'm just questioning, did no one see the one in the front? Or is everyone just fucking stupid? I mean, I guess so. So far, everyone in this movie is a fucking retard. So I guess it makes sense. So sure, I'll go along with it. So now Rubberface has the dagger, and while Rubberface has the dagger, Mads Mikkelsen is telling everybody that the dagger is fake, intercut with Rubberface saying it's fake.
A few moments later.
It's fake.
So that's why you know it's extra fake. Of course. Because if you didn't get it the first time, you had to get it the second time in a matter of 3 seconds. Then we snap back to Mads Mikkelsen and Rubberface's friend. And he's now telling everybody, since the dagger is fake, I got something cooler. It's like fucking show and tell in kindergarten. I got something cooler. And he pulls out the Dial of Destiny. I don't know what they actually call it in the film. It's like the Taka. I don't fucking know. But I'm going to call it the Dial. Archimedes Dial sometimes. Just because it's simpler and easier. I'm not going to call it the Taka. And he's like, this is only half the dial. But apparently this could change time. And oh boy, how great is that? So we snap back to Rubberface, and he's quietly walking through an area of the train where there's Nazis sleeping. Okay, sure. And so the Nazis from the other cart finally start knocking on this one and waking everybody up. They're like, yo, there's an American here. And they sound the alarm. This is important that we recognize that they sounded the alarm just now. And Rubberface exits the cart and puts the knife through the door, so that's why it's basically locked. Which, you know what? That's a good idea. And it snaps back to our villains, and the Nazi guys find out, oh, there's an American on the board. We need to go get him. And this part is so fucking stupid. I'm gonna try explaining this as clear as I can, and hopefully all of you will understand how fucking stupid this is. Okay, so Rubberface is going through the door, and he puts down the blinds for some reason because he thinks no one's gonna notice that, I guess, whatever. And he enters this cart where it's a bunch of Nazis hanging out, and it's basically a lunch area. They're having lunch, which, remember, the alarm just went off, but no one recognizes that at all. Everyone's like, oh yeah, we're just partying, we're having a great time, but the alarm went off. But whatever, fuck it. And even the people in the front cart got alerted about his presence, but whatever, it's whatever, sure. So Rubberface grabs a meal, pretends he's part of the Nazis, and he sits down pretending to eat because one of the generals were walking by, which somehow the generals didn't recognize him. It makes me wonder, what if this lunch area wasn't on this cart of the train? What would Rubberface's plan be? Was he just gonna be like, ah, fuck it, I'm gonna shoot him? Which he never brings out his gun in this entire movie except for once, which is kind of funny. But what was his plan if these people weren't here? What would he have done? I'm kind of curious about that, because his entire plan relied on one of the tramps having people with lunch that are just fucking retarded while the alarm is going off, and they didn't pay attention to it. So anyways, Rubberface goes to the way that the general guy went. The general guy goes where Rubberface was. Rubberface finds his friend. General guy finds the dagger locking the door. He unlocks the door, tells his men, go that way where Rubberface went, where he originally was at. And nowhere through that did general guy think to himself, wait a minute, was he in the lunchroom? Not one fucking second he thinks about that, nor wonders about that. He's like, oh fuck, go that direction, go find him, he's that way, I'm sure. Bitch, you were just there. Oh my god, you suck. Good thing you die in the first 20 minutes. So anyways, Indiana Jones meets up with his friend. He finds his bag of shit, which is his hat and whip and jacket, which is the only fucking thing that Disney knows about this character, apparently. And while they're being chased by
Nazi,
Rubberface thought it was a good idea to dress up as Indiana Jones in this section, and I was a little confused by that. I didn't understand why he would do that. I understand why the filmmaker decided that. I understand why Jim wanted Rubberface to look like Indiana Jones. I get why, because it's the iconic look of Indiana Jones, and this is in his prime, so you want to see him in his prime in his getup, which is just fucking stupid, okay? You have to... Why would Indiana Jones just randomly, oh, I'm getting chased by Nazi on this train, and they're going to be here in any second. But here, let me take off this Nazi uniform jacket and pants, and put on my brown pants and my brown shirt, tuck in my shirt on my brown pants, put on my jacket, and put on my hat. Unless if he's a quick dresser, then sure, maybe. I remembered in the first film, he was able to find a Nazi uniform. But yet again, he did change it undercover, so no one would see him. So, you know, there's that. At least the first film put thought into it. This one didn't give a fuck. And so He almost has his getup on. He runs into Mads Mikkelsen, and he just punches him in the straight face, which is like, okay, sure, whatever. And Rubberface's friend notices that Mads Mikkelsen had the dial. So he picks up the dial, and he's like,
Archimedes dial.
And Rubberface like, come on, let's take it. So they take the dial, and it made me wonder, did this just happen by this complete happenstance, like the second film, where he just happened to fall out of a fucking plane onto an Indian village, where this guy just happened to have a dial when he was looking for a dagger? Sure, I guess. Whatever. Fuck it. We'll go with it. I don't know. Movie sucks. Movie is fucking awful. And they decide we need to get close to the AA gun. Why? Because Rubberface has the idea that we need to get away from the Nazis. So to get away from the Nazis is going towards a big AA gun. Which, okay, I guess. And his friend is like, those are Nazis, which is true. But luckily and conveniently in that time, an American or some kind of plane came by and shot at the AA cannon, almost dismantling it, but not entirely. It's almost dismantled because it's not shooting at aircrafts anymore, but it's still shooting with no pilot on it. How? I'm not sure. Maybe the trigger got jammed? I don't fucking know. And conveniently, this AA cannon starts turning on the train, and this train is conveniently going on a very long left turn, and is just shooting everything at an angle, one by one, at each cart. What are the odds of that happening? That is insane luck. What the fuck is that? What am I watching right now? This is fucking terrible. How in the living of fuck did Rubberface know this type of outcome was going to happen? Did he plan that an aircraft was going to shoot the AA cannon and make it destroyed enough to the point that it will keep shooting but turn at the train and shoot it? How did that happen? I don't fucking get it. It's so dumb. This is the weird part. Looking through the online discourse of this movie, everyone's in agreement that the first 20 minutes are good.
Now, like I said in my spoiler-free review, the first 20 minutes of this movie, that's the movie. The whole segment dealing with de-aged Indiana Jones.
But or not, the first 15 minutes of dialysis of dysentery are actually pretty good.
I did have some nitpicks and one specific choice near the end of the film that I just didn't think was a very good choice. Overall, I really enjoyed watching Dial of Destiny. I think the prologue is incredible. The entire first 20 minutes of the movie is so well directed, so well staged, and extremely exciting.
Okay, let me back up a little. This is a great 20-minute movie.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, no, the first 20 minutes, you basically have what you see in the trailer, the sort of CGI young Harrison Ford. And I was able to sort of get past it and enjoy that first 20 minutes. It's that classic beating up on Nazis.
Yeah.
We're on a train. We're doing Indy things. We're getting shot at. We're punching people. This film has the classic Indy punch sound.
I don't get why people think that. I really don't. Is it because it's de-aged Harrison Ford looking like Rubberface wearing his getup? Is that the only reason why? Are they actually paying attention what's happening in the writing and the setups going on right now? Because it's fucking dreadful. It is awful. They get on the roof of the train, which, if you've never been on the roof of a train, it's not a good time. It's really dreadful. It's fucking terrible.
Try that again. Ah, shit! Retinas! Seared like tuna steaks! All I want is to fight on the top of a train! Is that too much to ask?
This is a small thing, but it kind of made me question it a little bit. And yeah, you could throw the same criticism to the other Indiana Jones films, and I have. How come his hat's not coming off right now? He is on top of a train going at least 40 miles per hour. That hat should be flying the fuck off. Alright? That hat ain't staying up there unless if it's stapled to his fucking head. Again, small issue. Because now we get an action scene on top of this train with some general guy. Don't worry, because he's gonna die instantly. The only thing to really mention in this entire fight scene is, one, general guy, instead of pulling out his gun, he pulls out the dagger. Why? Pull out your fucking gun and shoot him. It's not that difficult. I don't know why you don't do that. And two, they go into tunnels, and the second tunnel they go through, general guy puts Rubberface on the roof of the tunnel and like getting scraped, and then throws him. And Rubberface survived that, which I was very confused by, and I don't understand how that happened. But then Rubberface is losing the battle very badly, and he tells his friend to grab the gun and shoot the guy. And his friend misses? the guy and shoots Indy's hand, I think? I don't know why he shoots at Indy, because Rubberface doesn't really have much of a reaction except, not me, shoot him. But it doesn't really tell you what happened. It's very confusing. It's very, very confusing. But he did shoot him, and the day is all done. But oh no, Mads Mikkelsen wants to dial. So Rubberface gives him, I think, the bag that the dial was in. And he takes that as, like, the dial itself. And this man gets fucking whaled by some weird bar thingy. It's like some weird pipe thingy in the middle of the train tracks. I'm not entirely sure how that happened or where it came from, but he got hit square in the head by that, going 40 miles per hour and falling off the train. I thought he was probably dead after that. It would seem like he would be fucking dead, or have a mark on his head at least, but we'll get to that. But anyways, we end this fucking shitty journey with someone shooting the bridge, and Rubberface like, we gotta jump. So they jump into the water, and all of a sudden it's like sunset. I don't know how that happened when this entire thing took place during the night, but now it's sunset. And now, since it's sunset, you can actually see how bad the CGI is, which is why the entire scene, this entire action scene, was put during the night, because they didn't want to show how fucking bad it looked, obviously. Because Jim doesn't understand that maybe you shouldn't make a movie with an 80-year-old action star, but whatever.
But then we jump into this context of a giant franchise and money and fans, and you have to try and there's a level where people may want to only encounter this character as perpetually young and, as Harrison said, vibrant. But there's no story I can do about that.
But why?
But anyways, this entire flashback ends with them having to dial and run off to the sunset, movie over. And that's it. That's the movie, guys. That's it. No more. That's all that happens. It's a 20-minute short. It was pretty shit, I would admit, but at least that's all it was, right? that's all it was. It's not like there's another fucking 2 hours of this movie, is there? Oh boy.
I wanted it to be really good, and I think it is.
Bullshit.
So we cut to 1969 on the day that people landed on the moon. That's what today is. Putting that down now. And so we see a pan shot of Indy. Well, I don't want to call him Indiana Jones, because he's not Indiana Jones in this film. I call it a de-aging Rubberface. I think I'll call this one just Joe Biden. So Joe Biden is naked in his living room, drinking alcohol. Wow, this sounds way too real. And he's just sitting there, napping, being miserable, and loud music wakes him up. And you just see good old Joe Biden standing up, looking like he's 80 years old. And it's just depressing to look at. I'm gonna be honest, it's just depressing to fucking see. I don't think the first thing I wanted to see of present Indiana Jones was half-naked Harrison Ford at 80 years old standing up with alcohol in his hand. That's why Disney? Why do you have to take certain characters and just make them miserable?
And where I knew we were taking the audience, I wanted them to know that we were capable and ready and able to leap into action. But that after giving them a blast of that up front, we were going to take you on a character journey as well, and Indy was going to climb his way back to that kind of engagement.
What a fucking liar, dude. What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude.
Why do you have to put him in a shithole apartment, right? Why do you have to put him in a shithole city? Why do you have to put him in a shithole university? Why did you have to do any of this? Why did you have to make him get a divorce? Well, I'm getting too ahead of myself. But anyways, he gets up because of the loud music and goes to his neighbor and he's like, turn that music off. And his neighbor is like, well, do you know what day it is? It's the moon landing, Mr. Jones. And he's being grumpy this whole fucking time, and you could tell he doesn't give a shit about the moon landing whatsoever, which, you know, fair. And it pans over where you see divorce papers. Oh boy, was my prediction right a year ago when I said they're gonna make him divorced. It's sad I was right on that. It really is. Honestly, even though I don't like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, the ending to Indiana Jones was fine. Okay, he gets married, he's happy, he has a son now that cares about him, he has a wife that cares about him, and then 15 years later, he's just a miserable grump now. Now, even in the fourth film, he was a miserable grump. He actually wasn't. He was still Indiana Jones for the most part.
I'm sorry. I meant drop-dead comrade. Well, the way you're sinking your teeth into those W's, I should think maybe Eastern Ukraine. Damn, I thought that was closer.
Classic indie action scene. Yeah. I wonder who directed that film.
This film, he is the furthest thing away from being Indiana Jones. But he sees the divorce papers. He's all like, oh, God damn it. Well, he doesn't say that, but you could tell that's his expression. And he sees a picture of Marion from the first movie. And he just covers her face up. And after watching this movie and seeing him do that, that just feels very distasteful on his part. I'm gonna just go ahead and spoil a little bit of a part from the later in the film. The reason why him and Marion broke up is because Shia LaBeouf decided to go to Vietnam to piss off Joe Biden. So he went there and died. And because of that, Marion broke up with Joe Biden. So now he's all mad about that. But like, I don't know, man. Maybe she's more disheartened about it and she just needed time away and why she wanted to get the divorce. And he just puts that on her face. It's like, I feel like Indiana Jones, the Indiana Jones I know, would actually be very sympathetic about that. But whatever, it's fine. He's an old, grumpy, miserable man, so it's fine. And you see him in his classroom that looks like a fucking grimy shithole. What happened to the other university? I don't think this movie ever goes over that. No, it doesn't actually. Why can Joe Biden be in the university that he's been in since the first fucking movie? Even the fourth movie, he was in that university. Why is he in some shithole now? Did it close down or something? Like, what happened? They never explain that. It's whatever. And here's more depression for you, where you see Joe Biden trying to give them a lecture about, like, you know, believe it or not, it's about the plot of this film, where it has to deal with Archimedes and shit, which very on the nose and very fucking dumb that they have to blatantly tell you about Archimedes in this film because that's what the whole film relies on. And no one in the classroom give a fuck. They don't want to be here anymore, which makes me wonder, why did you go to college to become an archaeologist if you just don't care about taking a class anymore? That's the whole reason why you go to college, is because knowledge. No one's answering questions. Joe Biden is over here like, oh, no one wants to learn anything. I guess I'll spoon feed you the information. He's like, this is going to be on your final. But luckily, there's one chick in the crowd that's just, she knows all the answers. She's been answering them ever since, I don't know, it started. And I don't care what this character's name is or the actress's. Her name is like Phoebe Bridge or whatever. But I'm going to call her BirthMark because the actress has one hell of a fucking birthmark that is extremely distracting. And it makes me wonder, you could have done better to cover that up instead of using your hair. But yeah, even she shows the birthmark in this movie, and it's really distracting. So I'm going to call her BirthMark throughout the whole movie.
So can you give me an example of a time on this set when you even impressed yourself? You couldn't, you didn't think you could do something, but you pulled it off.
Oh gosh, I don't know if I've ever felt that in my entire life.
So BirthMark is answering these questions. And on the last one, these people bring in some kind of fucking TV to show you about like the moon landing, I believe. And Joe Biden is like, oh, whatever. So he leaves the class and he goes into the teacher's lounge and they're celebrating his retirement. Today's his last day, which just makes this even more depressing, not because he's retiring, but the fact that his last lecture ever in this university for 10-15 years was completely undercut by a TV program. Also, I find it very convenient that he's retiring on the same day as the moon landing, but you know, whatever. It gets way more convenient the further we go on that shit. And they give him a clock, and it's kind of a shitty clock. It looks like they bought it at like some shitty antique store, to be honest with you. It's also Jim putting in little themes here and there. You know what the theme of this movie is? Because at the beginning of the film, you hear a clock ticking, and now they're giving him a clock. It's all the theme, man.
So what I presented them was this idea that the movie would be about
balls on my face.
Every Indiana Jones movie, the relic isn't just a relic, but the relic embodies a kind of
balls on my face
question or mysticism or magic that relates to the theme of the whole picture, but that the magic itself and the kind of magic it possesses ends up relating to the actual balls. So I confronted all of them with this kind of slew of ideas, and to my great surprise, none of them ran away.
Because it's called The Dial, it's about time, right? Harrison Ford is 80 years old.
Balls on my face.
It's about him living up to his time. It's all about time because Jim is a smart writer. He knows what he's doing, of course. Fucking dumbass. So anyways, it cuts to Joe Biden giving the clock to some random fuck off the street because he didn't give a shit about it, which, sure, whatever. The Indiana Jones in this film, sure, as a miserable, grumpy old man, yeah, I see him giving away a present like that, but the Indiana Jones I know, he would actually probably keep that as an antique, and it's like a memory of his time at the university, but whatever. Fuck it. So he goes to a bar and starts drinking, and BirthMark comes along, and she's like, oh, did you hear about the moon landing? And Joe Biden doesn't give a fuck. He's like, it's no big deal. It's like going to Reno with nothing around, which, okay, sure. And she starts telling him that she is his godfather because of the friend that he had at the very beginning. We cut to our villain from the present time, which is going to be Mads Mikkelsen. Oh boy. Alright, I'm going to try explaining the scene because this scene is fucking stupid. This waiter comes along and he has his food and he comes in, and one of his henchmen, which was from Logan, the villain from Logan. I can't think of his name right now, nor do I give a fuck. I'm gonna call him Mustache. So Mustache is over here. He has his food, and he's like, oh yeah, the doctor's in there, but make sure you don't deliver it on wheels. Put it on the table. And I was very confused by that. You would think, oh, it's gonna be a character trait of the person, right? No, it's only in this one scene, and it never shows up again throughout the entire movie. In fact, there's one part in the movie where he's driving a car. If he doesn't like wheels, then why is he in a car, right? I don't know. It doesn't make sense why he doesn't like wheels, his food on wheels or something. Why is that a character trait? I don't get it. Is it because he got hit off of a train? I seriously don't understand that. If someone understands why his character trait is that he doesn't like wheels, I would be happy to know, because I'm fucking blanking on that shit. But it doesn't matter, because the servant brings in his food, and Mads Mikkelsen starts talking to him about, hey, where do you live? And he was like, where were you stationed during World War II? And he tells him, and he's like, are you enjoying your time as winning the war? And Mads Mikkelsen just says some weird shit like,
you didn't win the war. Hitler lost it.
Right then and there, that guy shouldn't be like,
Nazi!
Like, he's saying some
suspicious
shit right now. Oh, also, Mads Mikkelsen helped the government get on the moon. That's kind of an important fact, but not really. Actually, very, very small important fact. You can put it on the bottom list of shit that matters. But yeah, that's that whole fucking scene with our present villain. And like I said, it doesn't matter. Then we cut back to Joe Biden and BirthMark. So BirthMark is telling Joe Biden that she wants to become an archaeologist. And Joe Biden asks her, oh, what's your first expedition that you're doing? And she's like, the Dial of Destiny. Or the Dial of Archimedes, they call it in this movie. And Joe Biden is like, oh, really? You're going for that? Oh, geez. And so she starts breaking down all these things where the dial could be at. It could be at the bottom of this river when you guys were in that flashback of World War II, which we know isn't the case because he actually had the dial at the end of it. But she doesn't know that, or she does know that, but she's not revealing that information because of reasons that we'll get into in a minute or a little bit later. We're going to pretend that she doesn't know where the dial is. Anyways, this part was a little annoying to me. She's breaking all this down, and if you didn't know, her father went crazy and died, right? And that's why she's kind of doing this whole thing, apparently, is to find the dial for her dad. Joe Biden has a very strange line that, it's not a strange line, but the response that he gets from BirthMark is very strange. So Joe Biden asks, why are you chasing something that drove your father crazy? And it pans to BirthMark and she says, when you. And it cuts back to Joe Biden and he doesn't say anything, just smirks. Now, in my mind, I was thinking, are they referencing the Holy Grail? No. That's too fucking stupid. If they're referencing the Holy Grail, Jim has no fucking clue what the third film was about.
You know, Indy is not a Superman. He's not a superhero. He's from the moment we meet him in Raiders of the Lost Ark, we see someone who's trouble with relationships, who gets kind of a little freaked out in crowds, who isn't connected to his students, who really is much more comfortable lost in a book or in a cave.
The fuck are you talking about?
We're gonna have to get into a tangent about the third film because this film wants to fucking contradict it now. In the third film, okay, Indiana Jones's father was not going crazy over the Holy Grail. What happened is that he was putting more effort and more focus on the Holy Grail than his actual son, which caused them to have a rift in their relationship. And which is what the whole third film is about, is the father and son becoming father and son again.
Did I ever tell you to eat up, go to bed, wash your ears, do your homework? No, I respected your privacy, and I taught you self-reliance.
I learned it so well that we've hardly spoken for 20 years.
You left just when you were becoming interesting.
Indiana Jones's dad, or Henry Jones, I should call him. Henry Jones didn't lose his fucking mind. He didn't go crazy over the Holy Grail. In fact, he was still a ladies' man. In the third film, if you remember correctly, the German girl, he fucked her.
How did you know she was a Nazi? She talks in her sleep.
I can't forget how wonderful it was.
Thank you. It was rather wonderful.
And all this shit, he never went crazy. He just completely ignored his son for like 30 years. I don't understand where this film is getting the idea that Joe Biden's dad decided to go crazy. That never fucking happened. We have the third film as proof of this. But Joe Biden is like, he just smirks and waves it off, right? And so, it cuts, just hard cuts after that question, to Joe Biden opening up some gate. And he doesn't lock the gate after opening up the gate, even though it has a lock and everything. He should actually lock it, because what happens after that is very confusing. So they go in and Joe Biden pulls out the dial, and Joe Biden starts explaining to BirthMark what her father thought what the dial did. He's like, oh, it's supposed to show revelations in time, right? Which, doesn't make a lot of sense. What do you mean it shows revelations in time, Joe Biden? The fuck do you mean by that? I don't even know. I feel like you have a better chance of getting upstairs than explaining to me what this dial does. Which, let's be honest, you might have a hard time with that as well. But I don't understand. What does that mean? It shows revelations in time. The fuck does that mean? And while this is happening, BirthMark is like, so you didn't destroy it. And Joe Biden's like, wait a minute, how did you know that he told me to destroy it? You do remember. And she tries to play it off like she doesn't know. And he's like, what are you really doing with this dial? I forgot to mention this. While this whole conversation is happening, we actually cut to the CIA black lady. Now, I point this out, that it's a CIA black lady, because the actress that was playing this character kept saying this was a black exploitation character like Pam Grier back in the 70s. I lost my shit and laughed at that, because the amount of time this chick is in the movie, I checked. She's only in it for like 15 minutes. I'm not even fucking with you. But we'll get to that. And she's supposed to be a strong black character in this movie. Not my words, the actual actress herself.
Oh yes, Foxy Brown Pam Grier was literally plastered on my mood board, and it's just like the perfect kind of like homage to black women and action figures of that time. A lot of inspiration from Pam Grier for me, Foxy Brown and Cleopatra, blaxploitation. And I got to wield
balls on my face.
That's always fun.
But in this scene, it completely disproves her point, which is really funny, because she comes into this university with Mustache Man and some other guy, the muscle. I'm just going to call him the muscle guy. And I might just call her Foxy Cleopatra, because that's what she looks like.
The future better get ready for me, because I'm Foxy Cleopatra, and I'm a whole lot of woman.
So they come into this university, and they're scavenging through Jones's stuff. And this one lady comes by, and she's like, what are you all doing here? What's going on? Right? This is a little weird. She sees a muscle guy going through, like, Jones's stuff, and she's about to go call for help, and Mustache shoots her. This full-blown shoots her. And Foxy pulls out her gun and is like, we don't kill people. Which, off the bat, when I was watching this film for the first time in theaters, I was a little confused. Like, what is this? What is this relationship going on here? I'm really confused on this, right? She's like, why did you shoot that guy? And he's like, I'm doing what the doctor tells me. And some other guy sees the dead lady, and muscle guy shoots her. And he's like, no witnesses. Perfect. Which is very fucking dumb, because he just left the two bodies in the middle of the fucking floor in the teacher's lounge. Someone's gonna see that, obviously. How did you get in a teacher's lounge in the first place? I just thought of this, okay? If you guys ever spent any time in an American college or school, getting into the teacher's lounge is probably the most difficult part of the school to get into. So how the fuck did these people get in there? That's my question. I don't understand that at all. And they don't clean up the bodies. They just leave them there. There's a reason for that. We're going to get to that soon. But anyways, they killed them and they're sneaking in while Joe Biden is telling BirthMark, hey, you know, what do you really want with the dial? And they stop them in mid-conversation. And BirthMark runs off with the dial up the stairs into a cage thing and locks it. Now, my question is, so there's 2 locked cages in this area. One is locked and one is on the other side that leads to the roof and it's unlocked. Why? Why is that there? Why is it unlocked? Why does that lead to the roof? Why does it seem like the roof of this university is like 30 stories tall? That's my other question. I'm a little confused on that. But anyways, how did she even lock the door in the first place? Because BirthMark had to open the door and then she closed it and then it locked itself. Like it's the lock on the other side or something? Like I don't understand that shit at all. Anyways, so Foxy is over here trying to calm down Joe Biden and be like, we're not trying to hurt you. We just want you to take your meds, Joe Biden. And he's not taking it. So he knocks down like a bunch of shelves and crushes a guy that has crutches. I forgot to mention that. There's some random guy in this movie for the first 30 minutes that has crutches, and then he dies by bookshelves. Who is he? Why is he in the movie? I don't even know. He was barely in a movie, and he fucking died already. Like, that's how unimportant he is. He's already dead. Like, why is he in the movie? It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's so stupid. It's so fucking bizarre. But anyways, Joe Biden was able to escape by just going through a door. No cage, just a door. So let me get this straight. In this archive section of this university, there's 3 doors. One door that involves a lock, one that involves a lock from across the room with stairs, and then there's just another door there. Why does no one use the other door that doesn't involve a lock then? I don't understand. Where did this door come from? I don't understand. What the fuck is this door? What? It's so fucking stupid. So then Joe Biden sees a dead body on the floor. And this part was kind of confusing to me at first, because if you remembered, Mustache Man shot both of the civilians in the middle of the hallway. But Joe Biden comes over here and there's one body on the floor, and then the other one is like in the other room across, right? So my question is, who the fuck moved the body and why? And then my other question is, why did Joe Biden put his hands on the dead body just to confirm that they're dead, just to give them material to frame him for murder, which is going to happen? He now has blood on his hands, and instead of wiping it off, he pulls up the phone and calls the police. Meanwhile, BirthMark is being chased on the roof, and okay, this is really confusing. So she's about to jump on the roof, but as you see, the roof seems pretty far apart. So she's like, oh, okay, you know, I have to get a head start and then jump the roof, which, like, okay, sure, whatever. Go for it, queen.
Yes, queen, slay!
But in this moment, it cuts to some guy, I'm not even kidding on this, just some random fuck on the bottom streets of this area. In the background, you can see her jump. What a very bizarre cut.
When you say throw yourself in, was it literal? Were you doing some of those stunts?
When you can see her face, it's her. It's crazy.
What I want to know is why? Why did they put it like that? Why do we get a perspective, not even a perspective of some random fuck? It's in the background. He doesn't even notice it. And she's just jumping across. And I don't get the reason why they did it like that. They don't show her jumping across. They just cut to some random guy for like a second. It's super bizarre. The editing in this movie feels like it went through a wood chipper. It's really bad. Oh man, fucking hell. I've already been recording for 50 minutes. And I'm only 40 minutes into this fucking film. Holy shit. Oh, fuck me. You guys don't know how bad this film... Well, actually, you kind of do at this point. I've been explaining it almost painfully scene by scene. I skipped some of the smaller parts, but it's just... I don't get it. I still don't get who is asking for this fucking film.
Was why does this movie exist besides all the obvious business reasons for the movie to exist?
But basically, this whole thing leads up to Joe Biden calling on the phone with fucking blood on his hands, and he asks for help. He's like, get help, I need help, there's people trying to murder me. And there's a gun that shows off to the side, and he already said this to the 911 operator, but the guy tells him to hang up, but no police ever show up or care. somehow, even though he already told the police officers about this. Doesn't make the most amount of sense. In fact, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. Just by BirthMark jumping on that one building, when it cut to that dude just sitting there, the CIA agents lost her instantly. So yeah, that was cool. I don't know how they lost her by a jump, but there you go. Which is very cool, if you ask me. Very, very cool.
That's very cool. It's very cool.
Very cool.
You just keep hitting the fucking home runs, Disney!
And CIA agents like, okay, we need to go talk to that professor. And the two people come up and like, yeah, we got that professor. So with him on the bag on his head, they take him out of the university and they put him in the back of this truck. And then they just take off the bag. So like, why even put the bag on his head if you're just barely going to just make him exit the university into a truck? What's the point of that? I don't really get it. And this is when we find out that these are CIA agents. At least Cleopatra is. Mustache is just some gun-for-hire guy from Mads Mikkelsen's crew because he built the fucking rocket to go into space. She brought them along too, I guess? Even though she doesn't like them? So why does she bring them along? She's a CIA agent, and she brought on the goons of Mads Mikkelsen for some reason. But Cleopatra is like, yo, what do you know about BirthMark? She's my goddaughter. I haven't seen her in 15 years. And Cleopatra's like, then why did she come to see you? It was like she wanted some hunk of junk metal thing. And this is I'm gonna probably repeat myself on this point here later in the video, but Indiana Jones, in his line of work at his age at this point, whenever something mystical gets in his hands, like let's say this dial, him calling it a hunk of junk should be far from the truth, because he's seen a lot of shit in his life and he appreciates old artifacts. That's like the whole fucking thing about Indiana Jones. Old artifacts, he likes to savor those and like keep them like in a museum and safe and stuff. So like he wouldn't just call an old artifact like this a hunk of shit. You know, it just doesn't make a lot of sense, especially if it's Archimedes and how he is at the end of this film meeting Archimedes. He should actually appreciate this item more, but he doesn't. He calls it a hunk of junk, which is really fucking stupid. While Joe Biden is being interrogated, it turns out that the driver just decided to go on the wrong turn for some fucking reason and runs into a roadblock. And it turns out there's a riot or a protest going on for the Vietnam War. And in this point in the film, I was thinking to myself, how come instead of like Nazis, why couldn't we do something about the Vietnam War? Like, I don't understand why we have to go back to Nazis in 1969. That's so fucking stupid. Even Jim himself in an interview was asking himself that same fucking question.
Of how do I get Nazis in the United States and under what auspices were they working there?
Part of the challenge for me and my co-writers was also to construct a world in which we allow us to find Indy in this new age when heroes like him are not in fashion anymore, and it's not so clear who the bad and good guy is anymore. And then allow the movie to evolve and reveal itself that no, there's always evil, and it always is showing its face in one way or another. And that's where the Nazis come back, although they've infiltrated our own culture.
And it just makes me wonder, like, why? You could have done something with the Vietnam War. Instead, the only thing we get in any reference of the Vietnam War is Shia LaBeouf dying in the Vietnam War and this protest that's about to happen. But this protest is here for one specific reason, as you'll see. But this cop is like, hey, you gotta turn around. There's a fucking thing going on here, right? And the driver's like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll start backing up. But while he's starting to back up, he doesn't use his rear view mirrors, which are very handy, by the way, and crashes into a taxi behind him, which made me question, why is the taxi here? Did he go the wrong direction as well? And if he did, why is he here too? But anyways, the taxi driver's all like, hey, you hit my car. Why did you hit my car? And they're like, oh, we need to go on foot now. And it's like, you don't really need to go on foot. This is a really easy solution. You let someone get out and talk to the guy and be like, sorry, here's the money to pay for your taxi car being destroyed and just back up. He doesn't question it for a fucking second about this man being handled out of there. But whatever, it's not important because the taxi driver is a very small part of this entire fucking movie, and it was only here to cause a contrivance in the scene for it to happen for the next chase scene. And you could blame this chase scene on that fucking taxi driver if you really wanted to, because he's kind of the cause of this entire fucking issue happening. So they go in the middle of the protest happening, and Joe Biden is like yelling the same thing they are, like, hell no, we won't go, thinking that would stop them for carrying him or something. I'm not sure, because it really doesn't stop him in any way. It really doesn't, like, at all. All it does actually is that he elbowed him in the face and then he started running off, right? And while he's running off, Mustache Man is like, oh, I can't find him, so I'm gonna shoot my gun in the air, right, during a protest. Now, this is why this movie's fucking retarded, except for the fucking hour long I've been ranting already. Now, the reason why protests are very dangerous areas to be at sometimes is this reason right here. You see, you're gonna shoot a gun in the air around civilians. In this movie, they all duck except for Joe Biden for some reason, because Joe Biden's used to the sound of guns, I guess you could say. But what this movie doesn't recognize is that it's one guy versus thousands of people on the street. So all they have to do is just tackle this fucker. It gets worse. Hold your fucking horses. There's more, right? So Joe Biden starts running again, and Mustache Man tries to shoot him, but Foxy's like, nah, you ain't gonna shoot him, sugar. And so Joe Biden's running towards a cop that's barely 3 feet away. This is annoying, all right? There's a man that just shot a fucking gun in public areas with a cop here, not even 10 feet away, and he didn't hear the gun go off or see a crowd of people duck. He didn't see that. And so Joe Biden comes over here and is like, hey, I need your help. There's men trying to kill me. There's people with guns over there. They're shooting and everything. And the cop's like, yeah, whatever. Calm down. It's no big deal. Everything's fine. And he's like not taking him seriously at all. And it's very, very bizarre. And so what happens next is really confusing. Mustache Man punches another cop, and Joe Biden takes the other cop's horse. And that cop's never seen again throughout the film or throughout the scene at all. Joe Biden's riding this horse, and fucking hell, man, the CGI in this scene is fucking dreadful. They CGI'd Harrison Ford's face on it, because if you look at the behind the scenes, there's like some other guy riding the fucking horse, of course. And like, I get why they didn't want Joe Biden to be on a horse, right? The guy's like fucking 80 years old. He could break his back just by galloping, right? I get it. It's so distracting when you see the CGI in this film, and you see just like the worst green screen backdrops for Joe Biden. It's so fucking bad. It's so bad. So, like, now all of a sudden a parade is happening. Now, we need to talk about the convenience of the day going on in this film. So, just in this one single day, we've had the moon landing, we've had a protest, and now we're having a parade. All in one day, on the same street in the same town. That is wild. That is absolutely fucking wild. And they're all chasing down Joe Biden riding this horse, but they can't catch up to him. The mustache guy is riding a bike, and he can't catch up to a guy on a horse. Horses aren't as fast as people think they are, okay? You put a bike against a horse, and the bike is gonna win. But, like, he's having a tough time and struggling keeping up with the horse. But it doesn't end there. They got Joe Biden surrounded, but Joe Biden's like, nah. So he thinks of the dumbest idea possible. He runs straight into the subway. Yep, he goes into a subway. And he rides the horse into the subway because he's Joe Biden and he doesn't know that horses don't like to be in enclosed areas like this and other things. But he rides the horse in here. And then Mustache Man rides the bike down the stairs, which, sure, I guess, whatever, fine. And Joe Biden had the brilliant idea of, oh no, I'm running into a wall. What shall I do? He thinks, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to run straight into the train tracks where the subway enters and exits. So he goes in the middle of the fucking train tracks where the subway goes. And now, Joe Biden, on his horse, is about to get on a head-on collision with a train. And it's clear that Joe Biden didn't think of this plan through. And that's fine, okay? One of my favorite iconic lines from the first movie is literally Indiana Jones telling his friend, I'm gonna go get that ark, and his friend responding, how are you gonna do that? I don't know, I'll make it up as I go along. One of my favorite lines in that movie, and really sets up the character of Indiana Jones. This movie, he's just being stupid. This is fucking dumb. Let me just explain the reasons why. 1, horses don't like being in enclosed areas like this. Okay. 2, horses don't like loud noises. 3, with those 2 other reasons, horses are very, very untrustworthy in these situations. And in this situation, you really need the horse to really, really be in its time, in its moment to do what you want it to do, or else it's gonna flip the fuck out on you and leave you on the tracks to die, and it to die as well. And somehow all 3 of these things never impact this entire scene, and luckily there's a gap in the middle of the subway station to get on the other side of the tracks. Why? I don't know. It's just there. And it just happens to be there. While CGI Joe Biden is riding this horse. And my god, the CGI on the scene is fucking bad. It is so bad. It is horrendous. But he misses the train just by a hair. No pun intended. But oh no, there's another subway behind him now. It's like, what? Why? Why is there... What? Alright, whatever. So now he's being followed by a subway, and he gets off the subway by going on top of the, subway station stop. But luckily, while he's there, he tells some guy to take his horse. And while he's doing that, Foxy is already at this train station waiting for him, which doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay, fucking hell. This movie is a fucking nightmare. So he gets from one train station, rides on the train tracks, gets on the other side of train tracks, and meets another train station in like not even a mile away, which is very confusing. That's the one thing. How did Foxy Cleopatra know that Joe Biden was going to be at this stop? That's the other thing that doesn't make a lot of fucking sense. It's so bad. And then this chase scene ends that way. This chase scene goes on for like 15 to 20 minutes, and it is just fucking dreadful. I don't understand. What's the point of making very long and extended action fight scenes if there's like no interesting choreography or character development happening? I just don't get it.
Let's shoot this piece of
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Now, at this point of the film, I want to say we start the second act, but I'm not entirely sure where the second act starts for this film because it's just a complete fucking nightmare to deal with. But I'm gonna say this is the starting point of the second act, which is depressing because the first act was filled with like almost 30 minutes of action scenes, and they were really bad action scenes. So we cut to Joe Biden watching the news of him being framed for murder, right? And on the TV, they're saying very blatant things like, oh yeah, Professor Henry Jones, he was a professor, he retired today, his son died of Vietnam and he's getting a divorce. It's like, why are you mentioning all this? It's very dumb. And some fucker comes up, some homeless shithole just comes around. It's like, hey, that looks like you, man. And Joe Biden turns around. It's like, no, that's not me, while he's crying. And a homeless guy is like, yo, guys, look, it's him. It's Joe Biden. And Sala from the first and third movie come up and punch this random fucking civilian in the face. Cool. That's awesome. That's really cool. And so now Joe Biden goes to Sala's house, and all of a sudden now he's going to start giving us a fuck ton of exposition. How does Sala know all this? No fucking clue. I don't know how he knows this information, but he's going to reveal a fuck ton of information to us right now. So he says, BirthMark lady is in debt with some guy in some place and runs illegal auction houses in some area that I don't remember the fucking place they go to, and it doesn't really matter, let's be honest. And it's like, oh yeah, she's there and she's probably auctioning off the piece, so you're probably gonna have to go over there and go get it. Also, you're wanted for murder. Remember that, because the next scene after getting this exposition that, you know, he has to go to this area to go stop the auction house with the lady in it, Sala drops him off at an airport. Now, if you're wanted for murder and you just go to a public airport, what do you think is going to happen? That's not going to go well. But I will give this movie, I have 2 compliments to give this movie. But then I'm going to immediately take away those compliments when we get to them. This is the first compliment. I kind of like dialogue going between Joe Biden and Sala. I think it's a really nice scene. I enjoy them talking about Sala wanting to go back on adventures and stuff, and like he misses the desert and all that stuff, and he gives him his hat and whip, which for some reason Sala had his hat and whip. I don't know why, but he did. And he's like, that time's long past. And while he's walking away, Sala's like, give him hell, Indiana Jones, which again, he's wanted for murder, so someone should hear that and be like, yo guys, he's right here. But not just on top of that, while we're having this actually interesting scene, it's undercut with a stupid joke of Joe Biden almost getting hit by a car. Sure, movie. So then we cut to Joe Biden on the airplane, and he's reading some of his friends' notes and seeing some dates and stuff. And he starts looking through the airplane's window. And now we get another flashback with Rubber Face. I should probably explain this scene a little bit. So this is the scene that the last time Joe Biden saw his friend before he went complete crazy about the dial. And so Rubberface comes over and he sees that his friend's about to destroy the dial. And Rubberface is like, no, don't destroy that, for some reason, even though it's driving him crazy. And Rubberface is like, here, I'll take the dial from you, right? And his friend's like, promise me you'll destroy it, even though he just tried destroying it and Rubberface stopped him, but whatever. We'll ignore that, I suppose. It's not important, I guess. So then Rubberface grabs the dial and he said, yeah, I'll destroy it. Remember, there's the second half and you got to destroy that too. Yeah, I'll destroy it. Never destroyed it, so that's cool. He even said he was going to take it to a museum, but he never did that either, which is very bizarre. And that's kind of the scene, but the part that confused me when I was watching it is Joe Biden and BirthMark both on the plane at the same time, looking through the window at the same time, having the exact same memory at the exact same time. Because that's really weird transition. I'm going to be honest with you. That's fucking weird. I was very confused by that. I think the movie is trying to say, oh, look, they're the same. They're just the same. It's like, not really. No, that's just stupid. This is really fucking shit. So anyways, we cut to Joe Biden at this hotel. And I just have to ask, right? Because the scene before, when he was talking to Sala, and he was like, oh, those days have come and gone, you know, I'm done with that type of thing. And he gave him his stuff. Did Joe Biden not pack any clothes, like, at all, besides his, like, you know, getup of the hat and the whip and the jacket? Did he not bring any other clothing? Is that all he brought? Because if he was like, oh, you know, those days have gone and shit, why is he wearing his getup? I don't really get that at all, if I'm honest with you. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but whatever. But it's okay. Fuck it. So he's going through this casino, and he finds the illegal auction going on with antiques, I guess, with the dial, with his godfather, with good old BirthMark. And we get introduced to a new character. Oh boy.
Yeah, I feel excited and I feel like I'm in a dream right now. And it's amazing. I'm living the American dream and I just want to thank my mom.
Eton Isidore was floating on air at the premiere, and he brought that same energy to our interview earlier in the week.
I am excited.
All right, so this new character, it's clear that Jim wanted to make a Short Round type of character. Short Round is a very memorable character of the Indiana Jones franchise, and arguably one of the best sidekicks he's ever had, honestly. There's a reason why a lot of people like Temple of Doom, and Short Round is one of those reasons. But this movie wanted to replicate that. I'm gonna call this kid, because I don't know what the fuck his name is in the movie, I'm gonna call him Shit Round. I think that's a good name for him. He's a Shit Round. So Shit Round is over here. The first scene, he's pretending to fly a plane with like air horns and paper dials and stuff while there's like a guy sitting next to him telling him what he has to do. And when I first saw this scene, I was a little confused. I was like, what the fuck? Is this like a simulator to fly an airplane? Okay, I guess. Why is that there, I wonder? And I started thinking more to myself, oh no, are they gonna make him fly a plane? I did not see this going well. But anyways, so Shit Round stops Joe Biden. And he's like, you can't enter there. That's a private auction house. You need to have the password, right? And Joe Biden, I don't know what he does. He just like moves his hand away from Shit Round and then walks through. So like Shit Round did no precautions to stop him whatsoever. And when BirthMark looks at Shit Round, he just kind of shrugs his shoulders like, I couldn't do anything. It's like, you didn't even fucking try.
Hey, lady, you call him Dr. Jones. My professional name.
Wake up, Dr. Joe! Wake up! Indy, I love you! Wake up,
Whatever. But Joe Biden is like, hey, this auction is over. We're not doing this anymore. And one of the mobsters is like, who's this guy? And Joe Biden's like, I'm her godfather. And the auction's still going on. Mads Mikkelsen comes in on screen. And Joe Biden's like, wait a minute, you look familiar. I think you're a Nazi. And I know what they're trying to do here, because back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, a lot of World War II veterans would claim everyone's a Nazi. You know, everyone's a Nazi. They're a Nazi. They're a Nazi. Everyone's a fucking Nazi. Everyone. Right? That's what they're trying to do here. Make it seem like Joe Biden is crazy. Well, Joe Biden is crazy.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was in the the foothills of the Himalayas with Xi Jinping, traveling with him. I actually traveled 17,000 miles when I was vice president. I don't know that for a fact.
But they're trying to make Joe Biden look crazy and just calling anyone a Nazi just by the way they talk, which is what they're doing, which is why everyone starts laughing at him for saying that he's a Nazi. But he's right, though. He is a Nazi. But no one knows that, I guess. And so this whole auction's going on, and this part's very weird. We're about to get our next action scene. Yes, we just had an action scene not even like 5-10 minutes ago, and we're about to get another action scene that's probably even worse. Here we go. Get ready for this shit. So the auction's about to finish, and Joe Biden pulls the rug that's on the table that's holding the dial, and he pulls it towards him, but he doesn't get it. There's a quick shot of some other mobster grabbing it, okay? And it pulls a gun on Joe Biden. And then the muscle guy that works with Mads Mikkelsen, he throws the guy on the table. Now, this didn't make a lot of sense. If he was there for the dial, why did he throw him on the table? He just kind of made the dial roll into Joe Biden's hands, and now Joe Biden has to dial. And for some reason, Joe Biden decides to start flailing his whip around. This part annoyed me a lot, all right? I'm going to tell you one of the scenes I actually liked in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. One of the scenes I actually really adored in that movie was at the beginning when he uses his whip.
Damn, I thought that was closer.
I really like that scene because when it shows his age, his depth is not there all the way, but he still has the humor and charm, right? I like that. This scene, what they're trying to do, and they're trying to reference the scene from the first movie when Indiana Jones just shot the fucking samurai guy and walked away. That's what they're trying to reference. The problem is the reason why that scene in that movie worked is because it showed that, yeah, gun's the better option. You just shoot the guy with the sword. That's it, right? This movie, it's the complete reverse where he's flailing his whip around and everyone pulls out a gun on him and he ducks under the table and everyone just keeps shooting straight and he doesn't die. And it's very, very, very bizarre. And I didn't understand why it was like that. So Shit Round grabbed the dial and he starts running, and Shit Round gets bumped into Mads Mikkelsen's character and he just takes the dial. And now he's going down the elevator and he tells Joe Biden, like, I'll see you in the past, Dr. Jones, which I thought was kind of weird. Like, why did you say that? That's a bit bizarre, buddy, but all right, sure, whatever. And now we get this really drawn out action scene. But before we do, the cops come over to stop Joe Biden and BirthMark. And BirthMark tells the police to shoot Joe Biden, which was kind of dumb. I don't know why she would tell them to do that. And whatever. That's not the worst part. The worst part is that Joe Biden is like, come on, guys, put the guns down. Put the guns down. All right? Just put the guns down. Calm down. And the police just listen to him and walk away? Why? Why did they just like put the guns down and walk away and listen to him for that? He was just about to steal a fucking car and they're just like, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll walk away. That's fine. It's like, what the fuck was that about? You even had fucking BirthMark over here tell you to shoot him. It was so stupid. I don't know why they did that. It made no fucking sense. And then we get a weird side plot. This side plot we're about to get right now never comes back up in the movie, never has any payoffs, and is only here to start this shitty fucking action scene, okay? So, Pajama Guy comes around. I'm just going to call him Pajama Guy. And at the beginning when we were with Sala was telling us that BirthMark Lady, for some reason, got herself in debt with this guy. right? And that's why she's trying to auction off the dial so she could pay off the debt. And Joe Biden is like, hey, what did you do to this guy? She's like, oh, I just owe him some money and a lifetime of happiness. I was like, okay, that's just dumb. And while this whole thing is happening where she's talking to her ex-lover, Joe Biden all of a sudden was like, oh, she took my dial and that belongs to me and I want it back. And is that the whole reason why Joe Biden is here? Is because he just wants his dial back? He said it was a hunk of shit earlier, but he goes all this way and all this trouble to get it back. But he says himself it's a hunk of shit. Why? Why do you care, Joe Biden? I don't understand. It's fucking pointless to care about this at this point. And then what started this whole action scene now is that after she said it's a lifetime of happiness and all this stuff, the guy is like, you sold the ring too. And she's like, oh, it didn't sell for as much as I thought it would. And she starts smirking at the guy, and it just starts them shooting the shit out of them. So for this next drawn out action scene, I'm not going to explain it scene by scene because it's just fucking dreadful. I will point out the important bit where Joe Biden asks BirthMark, how did you become this way? And she responds in the most smirky way possible. And I'll just let that play out.
You end up like this. Resourceful, very beautiful, self-sufficient.
Now, bitch, listen. You aren't self-sufficient because you're in debt. 2, you're not smart because you got in debt with a mobster. And 3, you're not pretty. You got a shitty fucking birthmark on your face. I don't know if this was just the actress trying to put in her own spin on this shit, but it was fucking terrible. And this scene, it's way too long.
That's what she said.
And it's so goddamn mind-numbing. It's fucking awful. Joe Biden on this tuk-tuk is like, I don't know why I'm here. I just want the dial back. I don't know why I got wrapped up in your whole relationship. And it's like, yeah, I don't know why you're here, honestly, Joe Biden. You shouldn't have even came, honestly. It's like you came here for the dial, but really, fuck it. Who cares? If you didn't show her the dial at the beginning of this movie wouldn't have happened. Just think about that. We wouldn't have to deal with this bullshit. But Mads Mikkelsen gets captured by the U.S. government now, which is very interesting. And when we cut back to Joe Biden and BirthMark, for some reason, she's being all snarky. I was like, man, if only if I had a father figure that was, specific for the job. She's referring to Joe Biden. And she's like, don't even beat yourself up about that. What even is a godfather anyways? Then she says, family was never your strong suit. Okay. Lady, maybe that's not the thing to say to Joe Biden right now, right? His fucking kid is dead, and his wife divorced him, and you have the balls to drop on him. Oh, you were never the family type anyways. It's like, fuck you. What are you talking about? And then she says, oh, what time is it? And so he tries to look at his wrist to see the time, and his watch isn't there. And he stops it, and he's like, give me back my watch that was given to my father. And shit round and BirthMark had to agree on it. It was like, okay, yeah, give it back. It's like, really? You're gonna be that much of a shithole to the guy? He legit just saved your life, and you're gonna be a fucking shithole to him. Really? Okay, fine, whatever. I mean, it is grumpy Joe Biden, so what do I expect? It's not the same fucking Indiana Jones that I grew up with at all.
We are going to die.
This is just a miserable, grumpy asshole that's just here because he wants his dial back. I also find it stupid that shit round, when he was supposed to give the watch back, he was like, oh, really? It's like, dude, really? That's his father's watch. How would you like it if someone stole something from you that was given to a relative that died? I'm pretty sure you wouldn't feel very comfortable with that. But what the fuck ever, I guess. And Mads Mikkelsen is on the plane with Foxy and some Americans, and Foxy ain't happy. She's like, you destroyed like a lot of property and you made a big mess everywhere, in the parades in this town. I don't know why you're doing this. You need to go back and go see the president and all this shit. And he's like, no, I know where to find the dial. Please take me here to find the dial. And she's like, no. So Mustache Man gets a thing of pepper spray, I think he gets a thing of pepper spray ready. And so he shoots the pepper spray at Foxy, and they kill all the people on this plane, even the pilots. So who the fuck is flying this helicopter now? But it doesn't matter because Foxy got shot as well. So that's the end of Foxy Cleopatra. Even though the actress in this film was very advocate to saying, oh yeah, she's a blaxploitation character, she's the best, it reminded me of that type of person. She dies like an hour into this fucking film, and she's done absolutely nothing. In fact, she's been whipped by the Mustache Man more than anything, which is kind of funny because the Mustache Man's a Nazi and she's black. which is fucking hilarious. But yeah, she's dead. She's out of the film. CIA's gone. No reason for them anymore. So then we cut to Joe Biden. Joe Biden's like, we need to fix this radiator. And he's putting water in it this whole time. And for some reason, Shit Round is a fucking retard. And he thinks that because Indiana Jones's name is Indiana, he thinks he's from Indiana. Which is, what a fucking idiot. Shit Round sucks. And he also brings up the Wright brothers. And it's like, the Wright brothers were born in the Civil War. And Shit Round was like, oh, I thought you went to school with them. And BirthMark comes around and is like, oh, that's hilarious. And it was just like really fucking dumb and stupid joke. And so this scene now goes off to where Joe Biden is like telling BirthMark, hey, you need me. And she's like, no, I don't. I don't really need you. I already know everything that I need to know. I got all the books remembered. I know where I have to go for it. But Joe Biden is like, oh yeah, can you read what's on the glyphs? And she was like, maybe not. And it's like, see, you need me. This was just depressing to see in a way of like Joe Biden to be useful, and he's trying to beg to come along because he's useful in some way, shape, or form, I suppose. And also, if you didn't know, BirthMark somehow remembers her father's journals from memory, like almost all the important bits, which is just a very irrational thing to do. It's a very shitty, stupid thing to do, honestly. I don't know why you would need to do that. I mean, you could just keep it with you, but whatever. So finally, she's like, all right, fine, you could come along, Joe Biden. I guess you'll be some use because you can read some language, so sure. And he was like, all right, fine. I'm going to put gum on the radiator and start it, and then it should work. And it's like, okay, whatever. Fuck it. Even though gum on a radiator would just probably make it worse in a lot of ways, but who gives a shit? And also, Joe Biden has a friend to be able to go underwater to find what they're looking for. If you don't know what they're looking for something that tells them where the second half of the dial is. And how they know where to find this thing is because of her father's journals, and it's in the Mediterranean. So they need someone that could go underwater and shit. So then they drive their tuk-tuk to go meet up with Joe Biden's friend. And we get the iconic red trail thingy of classic Indiana Jones films, which, whatever. It's done terribly here, and I don't give a shit. It's like, whatever. Who gives a fuck? And then they land where they need to go, and they meet up with Joe Biden's friend. Joe Biden's friend is played by Antonio Banderas. If you don't know who he is, don't worry. I'm not going to call him that throughout the whole movie. I'm going to call him from one of his most iconic roles. Puss in Boots! So they meet up with Puss in Boots, and it turns out that Puss in Boots only has one good leg. Remember that, because that's going to be interesting to bring up later. And that in the background, there's two laugh tracks from Joe Biden, and they both sound super, super artificial and terrible. That's super distracting when you hear them. So they're on this boat and they're going. They got to get to their location so they can find the fucking thing that they're looking for. And then it hard cuts to BirthMark lady doing like some kind of like card magic trick. While she's doing this trick, she does it on Joe Biden. And Joe Biden basically tells her to go fuck off in like a very subtle way. And she kind of like, her smile goes down for a second. It's like the movie recognizes how annoying this fucking character is. But they don't really linger on it too long, because here comes the second scene in this movie that I actually kind of liked. I say kind of because it gets really fucking ruined at the end and the next scene after. Well, first, Joe Biden is like, hey, do you know what these dates are? Do you know what these are about from your father's notes? Because these dates are everywhere and I don't know what they mean. We'll know what those dates mean later. And she's like, oh, you're starting to believe in time travel now. And Joe Biden's like, I don't believe in magic. You believe in what you believe the hardest or whatever the fuck? He says something that's stupid. Which, again, if I had to reiterate this point, Joe Biden is the one fucker that should believe any type of magic or anything that happens. This happened in the fourth film, where, like, he was telling Shia LaBeouf, like, oh, it's just a story, kid. It's not true. Again, this man should know if there's a myth out there, there's a very good chance it's real. Very, very, very logically good chance. He's seen the Ark of the Covenant, he's seen Kali Ma's blood, he's seen the fucking Holy Grail, and he's seen aliens at this point. And he's still like, I don't believe in magic. come on, you fucking dumbass. I swear, Joe Biden's a fucking moron in this film. But, again, now we get to the actually decent scene in this film, where BirthMark asks him, hey, is there anything you would change in your life? And Joe Biden is like, I would tell my son not to enroll for Vietnam. And she was like, did he do it to please you? And Joe Biden was like, no, he did it to piss me off. And I would tell him if he joined, it would kill him and it would separate me from his mom and everything. It would just ruin everyone. And I think this is a very good scene, actual character development scene for a minute. But the problem is, it gets ruined. So here's Joe Biden laying all this down to her, right? And as he's walking away, this bitch has the fucking balls to just say,
You're still wearing the ring.
Choose your moment.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
bitch, time and place. Time and place. Why would you fucking say that to him? Like, and the scene ends like that. If she didn't say anything and just let him walk away, it would have been actually a really touching and good scene. But they didn't do that. And it's sad too, because like Harrison Ford is acting his balls off in that scene. He's actually fucking trying because, again, he likes the character Indiana Jones, so of course he would try.
I think one of the great things about working with Harrison is you realize leading man, star, legend, whatever, he's an actor.
And then you got this dumb bitch on the side. It's like, you're still wearing the ring. Why did you say that? I don't get the reason of saying that. And then it just cuts to the next scene, and it's never brought up again. Never. She never brings this back up to him for like a little bit and be like, hey, I'm sorry for your loss. You know, that shit fucking sucks. You're still wearing the ring. All right, you dumb bitch. How about you just go fuck yourself? How about that? That's a better option.
Over the course of 5 films, what is a decision you've made about the character that is entirely you that you're most proud of?
The decision I'm most proud of is pressing balls on my face. We've been away from him for 15 years. That's enough time for him to change from the character that we've known to what you have.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
And so after that wonderful scene that got ruined by bullshit, we cut back during the day and they're about to go on their adventure of under the water. But before then, BirthMark tries to find some alcohol and says this looks promising, sees a man, says that looks also promising, then grabs dynamite. Why does she do that? I don't know. She's a bitch. There's an answer for you. So Puss in Boots is getting them all ready for the adventure, and he gives them the advice of like, don't crisscross the wires or else shit could go sideways. Puss in Boots tells everyone that only 3 minutes down on the bottom. That's very important because if we put a timer on the entire water section of this movie, it is not 3 minutes. They're fucking bullshitting you. And I'm going to count it right now. before they go down, BirthMark noticed that there's something in the water. Puss in Boots says that there's eels. And if you're dumb enough to not figure out the connection of why there's eels, we got Shit Round over here to tell you.
They look like snakes.
And you get wonderful Joe Biden.
No, they don't.
Because if you remembered, guys, he's afraid of snakes. And eels look like snakes. So that means he should be definitely afraid of eels. That makes perfect sense. Of course he would be. So the 3-minute journey begins, and they go into some abandoned wrecked ship, which apparently carried the first half of the dial, and I guess the clue to the other half was on this ship, which is why they're here in the first place. So they try to look for it, and it turns out that they find it. It just turns out it's right there for them. Perfect. BirthMark grabs it, and a bunch of eels comes out, and it's like, oh my god, there's so many eels, they're attacking us now. Oh geez, that's horrible, that's fucking terrible. And of course, Joe Biden is scared shitless that he turns on the flare, and BirthMark just leaves him there, which is really cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
How nice is that? She just leaves him there. What a great character. And so Joe Biden is trying to get out, but oh no, we cut to Shit Round with some other fucker, and it turns out there's a ship landing to them, and it's good old Mads Mikkelsen. Now, how the fuck did Mads Mikkelsen know to come here? No fucking clue. How did he find them? I don't know. It's the ocean. It's pretty hard to find people in the ocean if it's one specific area, but hey, you know, he found them instantly. Good for them. That's a positive, I guess. And while they're here, they cut the line, I think, for the guy that BirthMark thought was hot. He died in the most bizarre way because he just kind of fell off a cliff. He didn't pull his little life thingy that he has that brings him back to the air. I don't know why. He just slowly drowns and dies. And then the weird thing is, they only did that to one person. They didn't do it to the other 3 lines, which was also bizarre. I don't know why. And another thing, how did Mads Mikkelsen know that he was cutting the right line, and he was cutting the line to someone that doesn't matter to the plot? What if that was Indiana Jones's line he cut? Well, there goes the movie, I guess. And while they're swimming up, for some stupid-ass reason, they notice that this ship is landing over there, and they just killed one of their men. They don't just drop the fucking artifact on the sea floor and come back up and just say, oh, I don't know what happened. It's not down there. They could have made any fucking lie at this point. They had full leverage to just drop it, come back up, and be like, it's not there. They could have done so many things, but instead, BirthMark, as stupid as she is, just hand delivers it to the boss like a FedEx package. Goddamn, how good is that? Ain't that nice and dandy? Like a piece of candy. So now Joe Biden and BirthMark and Shit Round are captured. Mads Mikkelsen is looking at, honestly, it looks like a chocolate bar. I'm gonna be honest with you. It really looks like a chocolate bar, so I'm gonna call it a chocolate bar. So Mads Mikkelsen is holding the chocolate bar. He knows that it's a code, but you can't read it. And dumb bitch fucking BirthMark over here just says you owe me like 1,000 quid or some shit. And off of that, I believe Mads Mikkelsen found out that he can read the chocolate bar. I'm pretty sure that's how he figured it out, because he said, I assume you know how to read this. So it had to be her that kind of leaked that information, so just more of a reason to put BirthMark as a bitch on your list. Now we got Joe Biden refusing to read the chocolate bar. And I was kind of thinking, I mean, if Mads Mikkelsen can't read what's on the chocolate bar, but Joe Biden can, how come Joe Biden just make bullshit while reading the chocolate bar? You know, it could say anything he wants. It could be like, oh, you have to go to America and, I don't know, go under the White House and find it there. He could have done literally anything, but he doesn't. Instead says no, and he gets Puss in Boots shot in the leg. And this part was funny. So he got shot in the leg, and Puss in Boots gets up, even though he only had one working leg, and Mads Mikkelsen shot his working leg. But Puss in Boots still stands up, and then gets shot again, and now Puss in Boots is dead. And Joe Biden's all pissed about it, and it's like, well, yeah, I guess so. He was his friend. And Mads Mikkelsen's like, hey, are you gonna read the chocolate bar now? And Joe Biden's still very much against it. So BirthMark is like, I'll read it for $100,000 or some stupid shit. And so they all agree, and they drag away good old Puss in Boots off the set, so he got his paycheck. Good for him. So then BirthMark, being the bitch she is, she starts reading the chocolate bar. And it's referred later in the, like after the scene, is that she kind of faked it all. She pretended what it said and just said bullshit. And she was walking around saying like she knew what she was saying. But the real thing is, so she comes up with the idea about how about we use that dynamite that I had earlier. And she's going to use a cigarette from Mads Mikkelsen to set it off. We've never seen Mads Mikkelsen smoke a cigarette throughout this entire film until now, which gives me the impression that they needed him to smoke a cigarette so this scene could happen, which is very bizarre. What if he wasn't smoking a cigarette? What was your plan then, you know? Are you gonna do anything with that? But whatever, who the fuck cares? It's not important. What's important is that she was able to lean against his bed and allow Joe Biden to lit the dynamite. And if you remember correctly, there's people behind Joe Biden. I think it's the muscle guy and mustache. But they don't recognize him trying to set the dynamite off for some fucking reason. Nor when the dynamite is lit, no one hears it or sees the flare of the dynamite, which is fucking stupid. If you know how loud dynamite is when you lit it, it's pretty fucking loud because it's dynamite.
Oh, that Dolomite is my name and fucking up motherfuckers is my game.
Also, she lit this dynamite on a boat in the middle of the ocean. I don't know if she planned this very well. Yeah, there's an escape boat that Mads Mikkelsen came on, but how does she know that that won't blow up that boat as well? Like, it has a very high possibility of that happening. But it's okay, everything worked out great because Joe Biden got the chocolate bar, they rushed out, they get on the boat, and they escape. This part is fucking wild. So we got BirthMark over here all happy and shit, right? And she's like, oh yeah, I did it. And Joe Biden is like, my friend just died back there. And we have like 2 seconds of quietness. She says sorry. And then Joe Biden is like, you told them everything. Yeah, she lied about all of it and she's smiling about it. This part was kind of annoying because it's clear that someone on set thought maybe we should put a line there for Puss in Boots dying. And they did it for maybe 2 seconds. My friend died down there. Sorry. You told him everything. Oh yeah, I know, it was great. I don't know, maybe we should linger on that a little bit more. Felt so bizarre. You introduced Puss in Boots so you could get him on this boat. You get him on the boat to get the artifact and then just kill him. The only person that seemed to care for like a split second was Joe Biden. And then he stopped caring after a minute. But then, this is when it gets really trippy. So Mads Mikkelsen goes inside captain's quarters of the boat. And luckily and conveniently, there's a thing of binoculars. And he uses those and he sees them from a distance. And he's like, oh, they're not going east. And he's just watching them. This part's fucking crazy, I'm telling you, okay? And then we cut back to Joe Biden with the chocolate bar. And he notices that the chocolate bar is kind of heavy. And he was like, oh, that's weird. And off of that, he figured out that maybe if we put some alcohol on it and set it on fire, it will melt the chocolate bar. And it'll turn into a gold coin thingy. So this gold coin thingy is what actually tells you where the second half of the dial is. So wait, what's the point of the chocolate bar writing? What was actually on the writing of the chocolate bar? Was it anything actually important, or did they know this entire time that there was a I don't know. I don't know. This is just fucking stupid. BirthMark and Shitround are like, hey, maybe we can sell this for a bunch of money. And of course, you gotta have the famous Joe Biden line. It belongs in a museum. Because obviously, he said that line like 3 times in this fucking movie already. And it feels like it means nothing. So anyways, they read that they have to go to Sicily. I don't know, they're in a Mediterranean Sea. And he turns to Shitround and asks, how much fuel do we have in that boat? And we get the classic red line thing. And it shows them going very far, extremely far for that boat to go. And in this entire thing, like halfway through the red line, we get a weird shot of Mads Mikkelsen saying they're heading west. Like he can see that from that distance with binoculars. How is he following them? Like tailing right behind them? And if he is, how come they don't notice it? How come he's able to keep an eye on where they're at with binoculars when they're far gone at this point, it seems? Is this like an Assassin's Creed NPC thing? You walk like 10 feet behind them with a crowd of people and they just don't recognize you ever, even if you're jumping around and shit? Because that's how it fucking feels. But it doesn't matter because they land in Sicily. And sadly, this isn't the White Lotus Season 2, so it's not going to be actually good character development. Instead, we're going to get shit character development of BirthMark and Shitround sitting together. And Shitround's all fucking pissed because he's like, oh, he's taking control now? I thought we were in this for all the wrong reason. And BirthMark is like, we are doing it for the wrong reasons. Because if you have to remember, these are very bad people, even though they're just stupid more than like bad people. Fucking retarded. I still don't know why shit round's in this movie. He's just here to be here, I suppose. BirthMark is explaining, oh yeah, we're just making him think he's in control. But don't worry, he's not really in control. I'm still in control. And Joe Biden is like, hey, I need your hand over here. So BirthMark goes and helps him. And while this is happening, shit round went to go grab ice cream in the middle of this without telling anyone. He's like, I'm gonna go grab some ice cream. And while he's done grabbing ice cream and he's walking around, he sees, this part's very weird. He sees a boat docked and he's like, oh, look, it's a boat docked. And he walks forward and it's Mads Mikkelsen. He's just there.
Surprise, motherfucker.
How? How did this happen? How did Mads Mikkelsen know that the shit round was just walking around to get an ice cream, that he'll at departure and run into him? How did he know that was going to happen? Did he plan that? Was he like, okay, guys, I'm going to stand here on stairs. He's going to come through this door and you all get him. Is that the plan? What if he didn't go through there? I still don't understand how Mads Mikkelsen was able to follow them through binoculars on their fucking boat, but whatever. On a broken boat, I should mention. But fuck it, I guess. So anyways, shit round is captured. Oh, geez. And Joe Biden is looking around for shit round, and you can't find him. But conveniently, shit round is just being kidnapped in the middle of an alleyway in front of the public. No one notices this, except for Joe Biden. Fucking Joe Biden tries to save him, and he's screaming and helping. And I'm telling you, there are people in this alleyway that saw this kid get kidnapped, and no one gave a fuck. It's really funny. Like, you see Joe Biden walking, like, yelling the kid's name, and no one stops him. And then Joe Biden is like, they got shit round. Joe Biden and BirthMark steal a wedding beetle, it looked like. While they were driving, Joe Biden, oh, they're not going to kill the kid. Trust me, they're not going to kill him. They're going to use him to find out where they need to go, which didn't make a lot of sense to me, because if Mads Mikkelsen has already been following you this entire fucking time, ever since you blew up the boat, and he's here with you, why would he need to kidnap the kid for that? Because he knows the information of the location of the area might be at? What's your plan to get through all the traps? Oh yeah, that's right, Joe Biden is gonna do all of it first so they could just walk through. I think that's exactly what's gonna fucking happen, because this movie is shit. But anyways, they land at the tourist attraction. I don't know if anyone understood that. The area they need to go is a tourist attraction to find the location of the next part of the dial, right? And they're like, oh, we need to do this at night. And so they get ready to go, and somehow Mads Mikkelsen knows to go here as well. And they find the cave they need to go into. And Joe Biden is like, find the best area of the echo, and that's where it would be at. Which, okay. So they're making noises, and they walk around, and then they find the area they're looking for. And just in this area, they look up, and they see like a crescent moon symbol coming from the sky. And Joe Biden is saying, oh, that's our opening. Which, I have to ask, if this is a tourist attraction and people come here, how come no one's noticed this giant fucking gap in this cave? Why is no one giving a fuck about that? It doesn't make a lot of fucking sense to me. It's really fucking stupid, actually. And so they start climbing, and they're almost up there, and Joe Biden stops. BirthMark is like, what's wrong? He says he's thinking about why is he here? Why is he up here? He's drank Kali Ma's blood. He's got screws in his leg. He's all fucked up. And she's just like laughing it off and thinking it's all funny and shit. I don't know, man. That's just really depressing, and she's over here laughing about it. It has like weird quirky music playing at the same time. Indiana Jones, the man that I used to rewatch the trilogy all the time, and seeing him as the guy he was, and then just seeing him in this movie just being like, why am I here? Why am I 40 feet in the air with screws in my leg and drinking Kali's blood and shit? It's just depressing. And then you got this bitch just laughing it off. She's not really concerned about him or worried about him or like trying to help him a little bit. Nothing. She doesn't give a fuck. I don't know. It sounds like the character is just breaking down in front of you. You just don't give a flying fuck, lady. It's really annoying. The scene kind of aggravated me in a lot of ways because I don't like seeing Indiana Jones bitching and complaining that he doesn't want to do an adventure. That's the complete opposite of Indiana Jones by spirit and in form. He's just Joe Biden. I mean, Granted, he's climbing up a mountain. That's something Joe Biden could never fucking do, but he's basically Joe Biden in this movie. Fucking hell. So anyways, we cut to Mads Mikkelsen and crew, and they're now entering the cave that they want to go to, but they threaten like one of the workers there to tell them where they need to go, because apparently Mads Mikkelsen can't grab a map or read the fucking signs. He's just too fucking retarded for that he just has to threaten someone with a gun to tell him where he has to go, which is cool, I guess. And BirthMark is concerned about shit round. She's like, are you sure they're not going to shoot him? And somehow Joe Biden is like completely affirmative about this. I don't know how, why he knows this, but he is. He's like, oh, they won't shoot him. They need to get here. Even though they're already here, so they could shoot him if they really wanted to, but whatever. So they're crossing this bridge. Joe Biden asks BirthMark, how did you meet him? And she tells him that she met Shit Round through Shit Round stealing her purse or something, and they've been together ever since. And for some reason, Joe Biden doesn't acknowledge anything about that. He doesn't really respond to that in any way, honestly. I thought he was going to actually bring up like Short Round for a second, because that's how you met Short Round in Temple of Doom, but they don't really say that. Instead, he's like, I thought you were in for the money, which has nothing to do with she said. I don't understand that at all, Joe Biden, but whatever. And she said, I am. And he said, no one remembers their father's entire book for money. And Joe Biden, let me tell you, people will do whatever they can to get the money, okay? If people actually have to read and memorize textbooks for college and shit to get money, so they can make money. So that's just a stupid thing to say. That's what school is. You should know this, Joe Biden. You're a fucking professor. Whatever, Joe. Fucking Jim over here doesn't know how to goddamn write Indiana Jones for the life of him. Instead, it's just a husk of his former self, and it's just garbage. It's so garbage. But we cut to Mads Mikkelsen and gang, and it turns out that they've been in this cave for less than 30 seconds, and Mads Mikkelsen found out exactly where he needs to go, which is the little gap in the cave. How did he figure that out? I don't know. I really don't, because if this is like a tourist attraction and people come in and out of this area, I guarantee you other people have found this area at this point, if Mads Mikkelsen was able to find it in like 30 seconds or something. It's so gay. This movie is draining. It's so fucking shit. And it gets worse. Can you believe that? And I just don't know why it's like this. It's so shit. And it's time for one of the scenes that also irritate and kind of almost pissed me off, honestly. And that is the Creepy Crawlies section in this movie. I don't know if I should explain this. I don't think it really matters, but I'm going to do it anyways. Creepy Crawlies is kind of a staple of Indiana Jones. From the first to even the fourth one, they've went from fucking snakes to bugs to rats and to giant CGI ants, basically. And the reason why they're like that is because it is to give it more of an adventure feeling, and it's gross, and Indiana Jones is capable of this type of thing. Well, in this scene, he has a bunch of bugs on him, and BirthMark and Joe Biden are both freaking the fuck out. Joe Biden's like, get him off me, get him off me. What was the first fucking scene in Indiana Jones? What was the first 10 to 15 minutes of that movie? What happened in that movie that taught you a very specific trait about his character? Let's see. When Alfred Molina noticed that there was a bunch of spiders on Indy's back, and Indy just saw it and he was like, I don't give a fuck, and just wiped them off casually while Alfred Molina's character was flipping the fuck out. You're telling me that guy is now afraid of bugs? Or how about in the second film, when he had bugs crawling up all up in his fucking pants, the same with Short Round, and he didn't give a fuck? He was more afraid of dying from a giant spiked crusher thing than the bugs, okay? He was fucking scared shitless more of that than goddamn bugs. And in the fourth film, it was giant ants. I still don't think he really was scared of them. I don't know. That film's, it's hard to understand his emotion a lot in that movie. But in this one, he's scared. Why is he scared of bugs all of a sudden? When did this happen? Did he fall into a fucking another train that had just a bunch of bugs when he fell into it? And he was like, oh, bugs. Ooh, la, la, la. Like it did with the third film with his snake addiction or his snake problem. Is it the same energy there or no? Because it's just fucking stupid. If there's one trait you should understand about Indiana Jones, is that he's not afraid of bugs or insects or really anything besides snakes. But no. Now he's afraid of a giant spider hanging off of his hat. hat. Okay. All right, cool. I'm glad that's a trait of him now. We haven't even started talking about the rules of time travel, because I'm trying to keep that part until the very end, where the movie has explained its time travel mechanics enough to where I could just pick it apart and explain why it's so fucking bullshit. But I'm trying to hold myself off until we get to that point. This is pain. All right, here we go. Back into the lion's den. So, time for a trap, a dungeon trap. That's what I'm going to call it. So they're breathing in methane, and methane's not a good thing. But what I don't get is that they're saying they can't breathe this stuff. Why not just walk back through the bug area so you don't have to breathe it in, but whatever. So they're here, and they're trying to find the way out. And the trick is just drop things in a little bit of a pool. And this little water thingy. You drop some things in there, and then it's water displacement. So it opens up the door. It's like a water slide. Oh, okay, sure, whatever. And so shit round, he got out of Muscle's hand, and he starts running off, but he forgot there was a guy behind him. So Mustache grabs him and handcuffs him to Muscle. And of course, Muscle puts the key in his pocket. Oh, really? It's not like this kid's known for being a pickpocketer or anything, but yeah, sure. Let's put the fucking key right in the pocket that he can grab. That's really smart. And he's trying to grab the key on this wobbly bridge. And remember this bridge, because we're going to come back to it after a couple minutes or so. So Shit Round grabs the key. He puts it in his mouth. The bridge breaks. It actually breaks. One entire side of it just collapses, okay? And they're falling through the water. I also forgot to mention this because it's so stupid. During the water scene, Shit Round doesn't know how to swim. Okay, this is very important. And Puss in Boots tells him, oh, it's easy. You just pull your legs or something like that. He just kind of told him a blank statement of how you swim. And off of that, they're in the water, they're fighting underwater, and there's like this little area that he can get through. Shit Round can, but the Muscle can't. This part's very bizarre. So in the time of this, Kid was able to unlock the key with the handcuffs, and he put his side of the handcuffs on the grater that Muscle is right next to and can't get through. And then Shit Round just swims away for the first time after learning how to swim, and Muscles is drowning to death now. This part's just weird. There's a lot of things wrong. First of all, someone telling you how to swim and doing it in execution are two very different things. Learning how to swim under stress situations like this is a very, very, very different thing. I want you to grab someone that's never swum before in their entire life and put them in a situation like this, where they're like almost to the point of being very far underwater and being fought against someone, and tell them to swim out, and just tell them the information that Puss in Boots told them. Oh, just, push your legs in and out, and that's it. And it's like, okay, what the fuck? It's easier said than done, people. You can't tell someone how to swim. You have to show them, okay? But nah, he's a natural swimmer now, and he can escape from them somehow. But it's okay, because Joe Biden and BirthMark, they get to Archimedes' tomb. But luckily, if you're stupid enough and you don't remember the name of a tomb or the guy Archimedes, the movie tells you right after they see it. Archimedes' tomb. So that's very nice. So then they see the second half of the dial. Joe Biden picks it up, and BirthMark looks at the symbols on the bottom, and she notices that the bird has a propeller. And then Joe Biden looks at Archimedes and notices he has a watch. This watch, as Joe Biden says, watches won't be created for another 1,000 years. So him having one is a bit weird. We're almost there. I'm gonna try holding off on the time travel shit until we actually time travel and get the full reason why, because it's gonna be a long conversation on that shit. I mean, it's gonna have its own desired section about time travel. I could guarantee you that. But anyways, Mads Mikkelsen and gang are here, and he's like, hey, give me the second half or else I'll shoot BirthMark. It's like, you really don't want to lose another family member, don't you? Which I didn't understand. I don't think Joe Biden has many leverage here. Like, why do you want to shoot her? I don't know, but whatever. So Joe Biden gives it to Mads Mikkelsen because the movie cares about BirthMark. She's important. So then Mads Mikkelsen is putting the dial all together. And so now what happens is, I think what Shit Round does is once the dial's put together, Shit Round jumps on Mustache, and then it starts a diversion for them to try getting away. And so Joe Biden is like, hey, I'm going to stay back. You guys get out of here, right? And they're in cover, and they're not running yet because they're fucking retarded. And Joe Biden, for some fucking reason, while he's firing and all this shit, he tells him to go. And while he's doing that, he's decided to stand up, and Mustache Man just shoots him. Like, straight up, just fucking shoots him in the heart. It looks like it's the heart, kind of. Maybe it's more in the shoulder than the heart, but that's pretty fucking close to your heart. And we're also forgetting Joe Biden's 80. So, one bullet to an 80-year-old man is like getting hit by a train, right? They're very frail. So Joe Biden should just be fucked. But no, he's still alive. He's gonna be alive for a while. Like that, him getting shot won't be brought up for like another 30 minutes of the film, believe it or not. It's actually pretty fucking crazy. And no one helps him with it. Instead, Mads Mikkelsen takes him for some reason, and they cross the bridge. If you remembered, this bridge broke earlier, but they crossed the bridge again after it being repaired somehow, I think? I don't know how the bridge is still here. Or maybe it's a second bridge. Maybe there's like 2 bridges and they wanted the second bridge. I don't really know. Maybe Jeff Bridges came along and fixed the bridge. And I don't even know how BirthMark and Shit Round got out either, because they're just out now. Did they go past the bridge also or no? But they're about to follow them, but they notice that they popped the tires on their car. So they're like, ah, shit, we can't take it. But instead, they found a random bike just sitting there for some reason, and they just take the bike. And it makes me wonder, why is there a random bike there, and why didn't they pop the tires on the bike at least? But okay, whatever. Sure, movie, I'll take it, I guess. That makes perfect fucking sense. So while Joe Biden is bleeding to death in the back of his van, he decided to ask Mads Mikkelsen, what's his plan to do with this time travel device? And Mads Mikkelsen is like, oh, I'm going to go back to 1939, and I'm going to kill Hitler, and I'm going to win the war, basically, because in his mind, he thinks the reason why the Nazis lost World War II is because of Hitler himself. So he thinks if he can go back in time and kill Hitler, he'll be okay. He knows every mistake that Hitler made, and he's going to not make those mistakes, I guess. Oh my god. That is so fucking stupid. What? Why? What? That doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna go back to 1939. I'm gonna assassinate Hitler, and I'm gonna fucking take over World War II. Sure, whatever. Fucking stupid. So fucking stupid. So they get to this airport, and they shot the guy that was just running the airport. For some reason, they just felt like shooting him. And they open up this garage that has a World War II bomber in it. Yeah. I don't know. World War II bomber. Nazis, baby. And everyone's dressed up as Nazis now. He has an entire army now. I don't know where he got the entire army to dress up as Nazis, but sure. And Shit Round and BirthMark are now hiding in the worst hiding spot, to the point that the Nazis should see them, like, very clearly. Honestly, when you see the shot, you're like, how the fuck did they not see them? That's so obvious, but whatever. And notice it's not raining right now, okay? There's lightning strikes and everything, but it's not raining. And it was very nice of Mustache Man to put Indy's hat back on. I mean, Joe Biden's hat, not Indy. This isn't Indiana Jones. This is Joe Biden. And so it cuts to BirthMark, and BirthMark is like, hey, Shit Round, do you know how to, like, fly that plane over there? And he's like, I know how to start the plane. And she is like, you haven't flown any plane, which was very bizarre. Why did you ask him if he can fly the plane if you know he's never flown a plane before? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Why would you do that? That's like asking someone, hey, can you make me a burger? But they've never made a burger in their entire fucking life. Why am I asking you to make me a burger then? What? It's so stupid. And that's true. He's never flown a fucking plane before. He's only played with air horns and a goddamn paper dial. How would he know how to fucking fly a plane? It doesn't make any goddamn sense. But the kid's like, don't worry, I'll go get it started. And she's like, no, don't do that. Even after asking him if he know how to fly a plane. But whatever. He's gonna go get a plane ready. And why does he need to get the plane ready? Because this is why his entire character is introduced in this movie. We're gonna get to that in a minute. And it's very fucking dumb why he's in this movie. And that's why he's Shit Round. Everyone's getting ready to go back to World War II. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be an exciting time. And so it's still not raining yet. Okay? But everything looks like it's been rained on, and Shit Round is getting into an airplane. Doesn't look like it's been raining, according to him, right? And he hot wires a plane. Okay, I don't know anything about World War II planes. If someone does, I'd be very curious to know, can you hot wire a World War II plane Just out of curiosity, can you do that? Because in my mind, I don't see the logical way of that working. Maybe it does. I highly fucking doubt it, if I'm honest with you. And so we see BirthMark get on the bike, and it's still not raining yet. But the next cut, it is raining hardcore. These type of continuity errors always just make me laugh and just make me wonder if there's like an actual person that does quality control in these fucking editing rooms. Because literally the scene right before we see BirthMark, there's no fucking rain at all. And then the next millisecond, it's raining. It's because of the effect. They wanted the effect, I guess. Whatever. It's also to hide the shitty fucking CGI. Because when you see you're riding on the bike, you can clearly tell it's all CGI. And it's really bad. Like really, 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 really bad. Like awfully bad. And even the shot with shit round in it, and you look at the airplane, oh man, it looks so bad. And it's so bad it becomes hilarious. And also, this kid's never flown a plane in his entire fucking life. Yet he's about to fly a plane through very, very heavy rain that's going the opposite direction of where they're going. Again, I don't know a lot about planes, but I do know that if you're fighting against the wind in an airplane, that's pretty tough right there. That's why they have turbulence and shit. Also, Shit Round's actor is just really bad and stupid. Even in the promotional interviews and shit, this kid is infuriating to listen to. I haven't talked about Shit Round's acting or performance yet, but it's really bad. Like, this scene especially. Like, when you see him in this cockpit, it's really bad.
This is great. Power full. When it reaches 85, I rotate. Okay, wings down. Okay, 84 miles an hour.
And when you see the kid in interviews, you kind of see why it was bad. Because this kid is just, I don't know. He's got problems. I'm saying it.
It's amazing. It feels like a dream. I feel like I'm gonna wake up tomorrow. And I love all the fans. They're all amazing. They're all smiling. And I love them. I love this movie. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is amazing. And I love this franchise. And I'm looking forward to people to finally watch the movie for the first time. I mean, seeing it on the big screen is amazing. It's an amazing feeling. And I don't know, watching Harrison Ford being back again to play Indiana Jones, it's an amazing feeling.
Those fucking stupid buck teeth. BirthMark is fighting against this really powerful wind. This is almost 70, 80 mile per hour winds here. And she's fighting against him on this weird shitty bike. And somehow this airplane is just having a tough time taking off, to the point that it gives her just enough time to get on the wheelbase of it so she can go up inside the airplane. So that's very convenient and nice, I suppose. I'm glad that worked out nicely for her. Oh yeah, and in Shit Round's airplane, there's like a dude in the back sleeping throughout this whole thing, which I'm trying to figure out, how did he not hear his own plane start up and take off? He didn't feel that or notice that at all throughout that whole fucking thing. And the reason why that guy is there, because they figured out, oh wait, it's probably really dumb if we make Shit Round the person that's flying this plane. And then so all of a sudden we see the whole of the anus. And so Mads Mikkelsen is, okay, here we go. We're going through it. It's going to be great. It's going to be a good time. And Joe Biden notices something. He sees that a lot of things are moving. And off of that, he figured out that Archimedes didn't know about Continental Drift. If you guys don't know what Continental Drift is, basically Continental Drift is when over time the continents of Earth move, right? You can find pictures of Earth where all the parts of the continents were actually together, and then as time went along, they split more and more and more. And that's Continental Drift. Now, how did Joe Biden figure that out? By some things falling off of a table? And I seriously don't know how the fuck he figured that out. And also, the movie doesn't really explain how the time travel works in this movie at all. So the Continental Drift makes Joe Biden notice that his calculations are wrong about where they're going to be landing. So is there like multiple anuses in the sky that you have to aim for or something? Or like, how does that work? I'm a little confused on how that works. If I'm going one direction, will the Continental, do I have to go in the anus in a certain direction? I just don't understand how this Continental Drift works on this time travel machine. It's really fucking... It's the most complex time travel machine I've ever seen in my life because the movie doesn't explain it. All I know is that this dial tells you the direction of the Continental Drift or the anus itself, and you go through the anus, and it takes you to where you need to go, I think? So anyways, throughout this entire fucking Continental Drift and not knowing how the fuck this time travel works, Mads Mikkelsen is starting to question himself if he's actually right. He's starting to figure out, oh fuck, maybe I am wrong, because the Continental Drift, which still, the movie doesn't explain how is he wrong by that though. The Continental Drift affects the ground, the continents, not the sky. This anus is in the sky, not the ground. So I don't understand why this matters in any way, honestly. It doesn't make the most amount of sense at all. But don't worry, Joe Biden is like, I don't know where we're going. I can sure as hell tell you it's not 1939. Mads Mikkelsen's like, oh, abort, abort. But it's already too late. They're inside, about to enter the anus. And somehow this kid is able to stay behind them in the anus. And now the guy who wakes up that's flying the airplane is like, what the fuck is going on here? And they fly through the anus and all of their technology in the airplane just kind of stops working. I don't know why that stopped working, but it did. So, like, whatever, I suppose. And so they're falling. They still don't know where they're at until they find out, oh my god, we're in the fucking Roman Empire age. Like, this is what's happening right now, and they figured this out. I think they said it's like 1300 BC to be exact. And so they see all these Spartan ships on the ocean floor. And instead of, like, flying up, they just kind of stay where they're at. And I have to wonder, like, already, this right here is this altering history in a dramatic way. And one guy, one Spartan motherfucker, somehow shot the engine of this airplane with a harpoon. This is Roman Empire times. None of them should know what a fucking airplane is. And they shot the propeller engine of this airplane and was able to put it down, basically. Was that just a lucky shot off of the Roman itself? Or was that meant to happen? How the fuck did that Roman know to shoot the engine of an airplane? I'm confused by that. These fuckers don't know what a plane is, for fuck's sake. But it cuts to Archimedes, and he's like, oh my god, there's a plane here. That means someone's using my time travel device that I'm creating. Okay, sure, Archimedes. Yeah. Oh, and then they shoot another harpoon into the ship, and Joe Biden was able to get free from his yarn. So good for him. This part's also very bizarre. For some reason, Mustache Man is just like hanging outside of the plane and is shooting his pistol at Spartans? Why? Why is he shooting his pistol at Spartans? Why? What's the point? I don't get the fucking point of doing that. It's so fucking stupid. And then BirthMark. This part was so stupid. So there's like a group of Nazi in this airplane with them, and it's very visible to see these Nazis in this airplane with everybody else. But BirthMark was able to open the drop door on the Nazis and make them all fall out, right? Except for one. And no one notices that there's a draft coming in the back of the plane. Like, no one recognizes this whatsoever. Until BirthMark is being grabbed by a guy, and at the last second, Joe Biden is like, oh shit, that door's open over there, and BirthMark is being hung out from the airplane. So I'm gonna go save her now. How did you not hear the Nazis screaming and falling with a draft coming into the plane in the first place? How come no one else recognizes this? I don't understand that at all. Not even fucking Mads Mikkelsen is going over there and recognizing that. But it doesn't matter, because Joe Biden and BirthMark are gonna jump out. Also, remember, Joe Biden got shot like 30 minutes ago, and he's still operating perfectly fine, which makes no fucking sense. So they jump out, and they parachute in a World War II parachute. It cuts to Mustache Man. Just, I don't know, maybe this guy took some cocaine before going into this entire journey or something. But he's just like, I'm gonna start shooting a Browning outside the window and just start mowing down Spartans. It's like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Why are you doing that? It doesn't make any fucking sense. But it doesn't really matter, because Mads Mikkelsen and Mustache Man just kind of blow up and die. So that's the end of them.
It's just a moving and touching story. It's surprising how it kind of gets you in the throat at the end.
Are you serious?
So it's like, whatever. And so Shit Round and Homeless bum that knows how to fly a plane. It's like, hey, we need to go land down there so we can save my friends. And this is why Shit Round is in this movie. And that's why it was set up that he could fly a plane. Because fucking Jim over here, good old Jim, recognized, wait a minute, if I make them go through a plane to go into the time travel device, how would I make it where, like, they could come back if they go on the enemy ship and it blows up? I know. I'm going to create a character Shit Round. Shit Round's going to know how to fly a plane for them to get back home. But luckily, he won't know how to fly a plane by himself because it's just too ridiculous if we just have him flying the plane the whole time. So we're going to have some other fucker flying the plane. Perfect. Great idea. Good idea, Jim. I'm proud of you.
You did it. Good job. I can't believe it. I'm proud of you.
So Archimedes sees this crashed bomber from World War II, and he goes up to Mads Mikkelsen's burnt face and sees the watch. This is the same watch that his tomb was wearing, by the way. So that basically means that this is a closed loop timeline, right? If you don't know what a closed loop timeline is, it basically means that, like, this is something that infinitely happens, and it's always going to happen this way no matter what. That's a closed loop timeline. I think that's what this is. This might be this, but I'm not sure because Indiana Jones is never referenced in, like, 1200 BC, or airplanes are ever referenced in 1200 BC. The only references we have of it is a propeller and a watch. Like, if a fucking bomber landed in 1200 BC, I'm pretty sure the Romans would take that and at least observe it and figure out what the fuck it is and then use it, right? Like, because Romans were pretty fucking smart up until the end. They overextended, that was their problem, but they were smart to begin with. When you do something like this, it just makes you wonder, like, what? So if it's a closed loop time loop, that means that's what happens every fucking time, right? Or maybe it doesn't, but maybe it does. I don't know. I really don't fucking know. And one guy's like, hey, Archimedes, look at your time travel device. It exists. It's the same experience like in Back to the Future when Marty shows Doc, like, look, it works. I guess that's what they were going for on that part. I don't fucking know. Probably not, because Back to the Future is just too good of a movie. It's the only other movie that I know that does time travel fairly okay. Joe Biden is observing the whole fucking Roman fights going on and shit. He's like, oh, wow, this is pretty. And he hands her coordinates to get back home. And again, how does that work? You fly up to the anus in a certain direction and you're able to get back home? I really don't know how that works at all. It's really fucking stupid. But sure. And Joe Biden's like, just leave me here and die. I'm at my wit's end. I'm shot. No one wants me anymore. This is where I want to die at and watch the Roman fight play out. In this moment in the film, I actually peeked up for a minute. You got me interested, movie. Where are you going to go with this? Because, again, I like Indiana Jones a lot, so if this is going to be his death, I kind of want to see how it's really going to be played out. Oh, boy. You see, she's like, no, you can't leave. You have to come with us. I mean, we can fix you up. And Shit Round lands, and you're like, come on, the anus is closing, which is a thing. Apparently the anus closes, which was never told about or said until now, but whatever. And Archimedes comes up, and Joe Biden is like, oh my god, Archimedes, I love you, even though I called your device a pile of crap earlier in this film, but I love your device. Hey, I want to stay here. Can I stay here with you? And BirthMark is like, no, he can't stay here. He has to come back with us so he can get fixed and help and stuff. He needs help. He's shot. Only our medicine can help us. And Joe Biden's like, this is something I have to do. And she responds with, me too, and punches him straight in the face and knocks him out. Now, this part was kind of bizarre, because in the theater, you have to remember, American audiences are fucking retards. So, my theater ate this movie up. Not even kidding with you. They ate it up. Every joke, every scene, they loved it. They even clapped for the movie and a standing ovation and clapped. I was like, what the fuck kind of theater experience is this? But at this scene where Joe Biden was like, I have to do this, and she punches him and knocks him out after saying he wants to be left here to die, everyone laughed. Even in, like, the copies I have of the movie, and hard copies, where people are laughing in the background in their theater. Were people laughing with or at the movie at that point? Because I'm very confused. When I saw that, I was just in shock. My jaw was on the floor. I was like, what the fuck? The one actual moment you almost had in this movie for a third fucking time was ruined by complete bullshit. What the fuck was that? That's awesome. Love to see that in my movie. And it just cuts to black, opens up with Joe Biden in his bed in his apartment. How did they get here? I don't know. I have no fucking clue how they got back home. I guess they went through the anus, and that's how they got back home. I guess. I'm not sure. whatever. The movie doesn't tell you. It just cuts to black and puts him back in his apartment. You're just supposed to assume that he got here. Okay. All right, movie. Sure. BirthMark comes through the door and asks him, how you feeling? And Joe Biden is like, better than my jaw. And she like smirks and laughs about this. And I'm very confused on why she is. And Joe Biden's like, you shouldn't just let me stay. BirthMark responds with, I couldn't let you do that. Joe Biden says, why? And she says it will change the course of history. All right, lady. Dumb bitch. Listen, all right? A World War II bomber with Nazis landed in the middle of a Spartan war. What are you smoking, girl? It already changed the course of history. Everything already changed from the course of history. You told fucking Archimedes that he couldn't keep this time machine because he had to make his own, but it's like, at this point, he already knows it works. You already changed a lot of the history. They now know what airplanes are. They have an idea of what Nazis are, I'd assume. It's fucking stupid, but yeah. The course of history has changed so much. They're gonna find 9mm rounds on some of their men and be wondering, like, what the fuck are these? Well, let's not forget the Browning and the bomber. The history is fucked, lady. It's gone. It's gonzo. I don't know why the fuck you're saying this. I still don't know how the time travel works. How did you get through? Did you go back through the anus with the coordinates that Joe Biden gave you? Which I don't even know what those coordinates are or do or anything, but there you go. Fucking bitch. He did not change the course of history. That was already done the second you went through that anus, all right? And so she says, you're supposed to be here, and Joe Biden says, for who? And then it lingers on, and Marianne comes through the door. Oh boy, Marianne. And essentially, this fucking ending, man. Basically ends with Joe Biden and Marianne getting back together. They just, I guess they needed some kind of conflict, but no conflict at the same time. And they recreate the most cringy scene in any of the Indiana Jones scenes, and it was the Kiss My Boo Boo scene from the first movie, which is honestly the worst scene in any Indiana Jones scene. Well, Kiss My Boo Boos. It was very fucking cringe. Worst part of that movie. But then, yeah, the movie ends with his hat. And that's it. Holy fuck. I guess I already talked about the time travel, but I just want to talk a little bit more about it. Maybe a little bit more about Lucasfilm and the culture around this movie. First of all, the time traveling, you can't do time travel in movies. You just can't, unless if you're very, very, very dedicated to it. And then on top of that, you shouldn't do it to an Indiana Jones film, okay? Indiana Jones isn't about time traveling. You can't just slap time travel in the fucking movie and say it's gonna be okay. The Flash put time travel and it didn't work. I think it was time travel. I don't know what the fuck the Flash. It was like time travel, multiverse traveling shit. I don't know. And then you got Avengers Endgame doing time travel. You just can't do it. You can't do it on your first try, people. You have to dedicate an entire movie to it. And even the movies that dedicate the entire time to the rules of time traveling, there's only two ways that I know they've done it properly. The Back to the Future route, which is like, it's just there to hang a good story on, which it does do that. You know, it just hangs good stories and it's more of a backdrop to the movie. Or it's like Primer, which I don't know if any of you've seen Primer, but that movie is incredibly complex, and a lot of people still don't understand the time travel rules of that movie because it's so fucking complex. Steins Gate does time travel very good as well. But this movie, it's like, you get the dial, you go up to the eye of a storm, which is an anus in this case, and you have to put the coordinates right onto the dial, I assume? Or do you put it right? Oh, that reminds me. Archimedes actually made the time travel device, so that's why he can get help for his time, which just complicates things even more. All right. I forgot to mention this when the scene actually happened because I was just done with it at that point. But it doesn't make any fucking sense how that works. So he made a time travel device so he can get help from the future, right? That's why he made the time travel device. So that makes it make less sense on why Mads Mikkelsen would think that he could put coordinates in. Same with Joe Biden. They think they could put coordinates into it and go wherever they want. Yet again, they can't. But then Archimedes didn't think about Continental Drift. But it seemed like that didn't matter if he landed in the time that Archimedes wanted them to land into, right? Also, why would you make a time travel device that only takes you at one specific moment in time? And if that's the case, shouldn't there be like multiple people coming from all multiple times going through that time, that certain section of Rome? Or no? Oh my god, this is why you don't do time traveling, people. This is exactly why. why. You put lines in there that make no fucking sense, and it breaks the movie. You just can't. You start overthinking it, trying to figure out how the fuck does this work. And I know people like to brush off time travel rules, but when a movie does it proper, it's actually really good. Like Back to the Future, for example. It makes its rules and it sticks to it. Really good for that reason. When you have a movie like this, that's just like, oh yeah, time travel. He wanted a time travel device so he can get help from the future to help him with his war. But if he already lost the war, then the time travel device didn't really help him win the war in that case, right? Because if it did, then the time would be completely different as an alternate history. But if it's not a closed loop, maybe it's not a closed loop for that reason, because it could become a branching timeline for that situation, right? Because it would be a branching timeline if they have now a World War II bomber and fucking, I don't know. I don't fucking know. I'm done talking about the time travel now. Actually, there's another part of this time travel I want to talk about, and it has to deal with Mads Mikkelsen's plan. So, in the movie, when Joe Biden is reading his friend's journal and he tells BirthMark about the dates, he says those dates are 2 days away. So that means that the anus opens up in 2 days, and you have to wait for the days to happen. So that means the whole plan that Mads Mikkelsen had just happened to work and to fall into place in the exact moments it needed to for the exact moment that fucking anus opened. Which, what a fucking mess. What an actual mess. Holy fuck. We need to talk about Lucasfilm next, and I don't get where their head is. I really don't. I know it's owned by Disney, and Disney just completely raped everything. And recently I've heard this movie bombed so fucking bad that there is a good chance that they're thinking about selling the rights. Good. I fucking hope they do. Sell it on goddamn Craigslist for $100 and just let some fuck pick it up at this point. That would be better than anything. Or give it back to Paramount, because there's a Paramount logo at the beginning of this movie, so give it to them. Do anything. Just don't make another Indiana Jones film. I don't think anyone wants another one after this fucking nightmare. It's so bad. Normally I would wrap up the video here, but I actually have a little surprise for all of you. We're gonna do a little bit of a response to someone. While I was doing my research, and I even included their video in my part 1, where it was Chris Stuckman. Well, today he released his spoiler video. I watched a little bit and I just thought, this is worth responding to. After everything I've told you guys about this movie, watching this video, I don't even know who watches Chris Stuckman anymore, but this man, fuck, his takes are fucking bad. So let's watch this. I don't know how long this response is going to be, but we're going to take our time with it. We're already at 51 minutes on this fucking timeline, so why not make it just a little bit longer?
This video is going to be all about spoilers. I'm not going to get too much into the plot. I'm not going to get too much into like positives and negatives and stuff. I just really want to talk about a few aspects of the film that I simply could not talk about.
That doesn't make any sense. He says he's not going to talk about positives and negatives, yet that's exactly what he fucking does. How did this guy get famous? That's my question, because I've never watched any of his videos except for a select few, and apparently those are his worst videos. This one doesn't seem to be doing too hot either for him. And I just, man, what? We're not going to talk about the positives and negatives, yet I'm going to talk about the positives and negatives. The fuck?
In my original video. I liked a lot about the film, and there were things I didn't like, but one of the things I was very curious about was what they would do with the Mutt Williams storyline, Shia LaBeouf's character, Indiana Jones' son. And they just killed him off. What this did for the character was very interesting because it solved a lot of problems I can imagine for the writers. If they don't want Marion to be on this adventure and they just got married at the end of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where is she?
Why, though? You don't have to kill off a Mutt to make a story without Marion. And why did the writers not want to use Marion in the story? Why does it have to be about BirthMark? That's my fucking question. I mean, yeah, maybe they want to stay away from the fourth film, but she's in this film, so they didn't really stay away from it. You say, oh, it must have been very difficult for the writers to not use Marion, and it's just, you could if you wanted to. Or you could just say she's visiting her grandmother with Shia LaBeouf or some shit. You could have made anything up. You're a writer, okay? As a writer, you have complete freedom to write whatever the fuck outcome you want. So if you don't want to kill off Mutt, and you don't want Marion in the film, just say they're on a tropical vacation or some shit, or visiting long family members. It's not that difficult.
So we have separation papers that are given to him at the beginning of the movie, and you realize, okay, so they're really on the rocks here. And once you learn that their son was killed after he enlisted, that not only solves the Mutt issue, but it solves why isn't Marion around, because that loss put such a strain on their marriage that they're not entirely sure if it's going to work out. Of course, at the end of the film, it does.
Now, Chris, let me ask you something. Did the thought once ever come through your mind thinking, it's kind of weird that they got divorced at the beginning of this film just so they could get back together and just recreate a scene from the first movie? That 1 second, do you think that's a bit strange or stupid or fucking why? It doesn't make any goddamn sense. It's just there to create problems. Not even problems, it's just there to write off a character when you could have done it in so many other ways. You could have recasted Shia LaBeouf if you wanted to. Recast a fucker, who cares? No one wants to see Shia LaBeouf in movies anymore, and people recast people all the fucking time. Just look at, what was it, Iron Man 1 and 2 as an example?
And what I think is a very sweet callback to the scene in Raiders where they point to parts of their body that don't hurt, which leads to a kiss. And that, I thought, was a very nice ending for Indy.
Nice ending? Fucker. The ending was rushed to shit. It felt like Jim got to the end and ran out of story. He didn't know what the fuck to do. So he just wrote, Marion comes through the door and happily ever after. Done. They don't even talk about the situation about what happened in Rome whatsoever. They bring up maybe for 2 seconds and then it's completely dropped and everyone's happy again. That's just shit. Chris, I don't know you at all, but for a movie reviewer, you fucking suck. Think about this, Chris. I could make better movie reviews than you while drunk off my ass. My toenail could make better videos than you.
Not everyone's going to love the idea of time travel, and some people are going to scoff at it, but there are really weird Indiana Jones adventures. If you've seen the Young Indiana Jones show or read any of the books.
All right, listen here, you fucking Pop-Tart. Don't use the books or the fucking Young Indiana Jones as an example of weird adventures. Because 1, those are shit. That's 1. And 2, didn't Disney say something about fucking all the extended lores and books of stuff aren't canon anymore? I know they said that for Star Wars, but is it the same for Indiana Jones? I don't know, man. When you start using the excuse, he's always been on weird adventures, when you read the books and watch the Young Indiana Jones TV show that fucking flopped so hard it was dog shit. I don't know if that's a good thing to say. Use the actual trilogy if you want to go that route, which I think he does, and that's going to be fun to talk about.
There's a lot of weird shit that this guy has gone up against. And to some people, the Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail is some weird made-up shit. Just keep that in mind.
No. Chris, you fucking retard. The Ark of the Covenant is known as a real thing, or at least is part of Buddhism, as you would say. The Holy Grail is part of Christianity. Okay? They're not just made up shit. These artifacts from the original come from real religious beliefs and real ideals that people believed in. They're not just made up shit. Maybe you could make that argument for the second one, but that even deals with Kali Ma. And Kali Ma was a real thing. They didn't rip people's hearts out and set them on fire, but it was a real thing. So it's not made up shit. This is an awful argument, Chris. What the fuck were you smoking while making it?
Not everybody believes in that either, just like not everybody believes in interdimensional beings.
The problem with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull wasn't the idea that no one believed in aliens. The problem with it is that aliens does not fit into Indiana Jones. He goes on like really ancient artifacts that have actual beliefs and do exist. Aliens is more sci-fi than like old artifacts. Right? That's the thing. You're dipping your toes in sci-fi when that happened. There's a reason people out there wish that they did one about the lost city of Atlantis. Because that is something a lot of people could see Indiana Jones going for. Because it's an old ruined town underwater. Of course you would look for something like that. That's ancient artifacts right there. Or it's an ancient town. Aliens... No. Just no.
But I mentioned a character choice in the film that didn't work for me, and that it was a spoiler. I was talking about how Indiana Jones is tied up and shot for the majority of the film's finale. He's kind of taken out of the equation, and I think that's a very poor choice Here's something interesting to think about. Indiana Jones is tied up for the ending of Raiders of the Lost Ark as well. He's tied to a pole. He doesn't have anything to do with the Nazis opening the Ark, and he's just kind of standing there.
Okay. Alright, we're gonna have to talk about the ending for Raiders now, aren't we? Oh, Chris, you fucking muppet. Listen, dumb shit. Him getting shot at the end of this film was almost a 35-minute scene of no one recognizing he's been shot. Raiders? He was tied up for barely 2 minutes. You're fucking with me right now, right? You're going to compare a 2-minute scene of him being tied up on a fucking pole and keeping his eyes closed so his soul doesn't get sucked out of him to him being shot for 35 minutes for the rest of the film. Oh, Chris. What the fuck? Do you know how to analyze movies? That's my question. Do you just go to a movie theater and stuff your fucking face with fucking popcorn and don't actually pay attention to what the film is saying or showing you? You just accept the feelings that the movie wants you to feel, but you don't just sit there and think to yourself, wait a minute, this is dumb. No, instead you choose the most broad and bizarre criticism for the movie. I'd admit it is pretty fucking stupid that Indiana Jones is out of it for almost 30 minutes of the film. My issue is more that he's been shot for that long, and then no one recognizes it or cares about it until the last 3 minutes of the film when he wants to sit there and die. That's when it really matters. That's my problem. But he won't bring that up. He'll just say, oh, he was shot and he was out of the film for the rest of it. It's like, you're not going to go into detail about that. You're not going to explain why. You're just going to say, oh, it was like Raiders, where he was tied up to a pole for 3 minutes. What the fuck?
Raiders of the Lost Ark's a great film, though, right? That's probably my least favorite aspect of Raiders. In fact, the only thing about the film I don't really like.
That's such a small and minute detail about the movie to not like about it. I mean, to be fair, I made a series breakdown of all the Indiana Jones films, and in the first one I point out a few flaws with the writing when it comes to a certain monkey. I can't remember them right now off the top of my head, but I do bring up a lot of writing flaws with the film. But even those, they're writing flaws. They have an impact on the story, so it's fair to point them out and criticize them, and still say, this is a damn solid fucking movie. You, on the other hand, oh, I just don't like that he's tied up on a pole. What kind of fucking criticism is that?
And I'm sure that a lot of people are going to have a problem with Helena knocking Indiana Jones out and bringing him back to his time. And I can understand that. I get it. But Indiana Jones has always been a character that is in love with history. It's why relationships have been hard for him.
What? Alright, Chris, you fucking lost me. So, I'm gonna try listening to this again. Alright. I'm so confused. I am so confused. So, he's saying he understands why people would have a problem with knocking Indiana Jones out and bringing him back to his time. He says he gets it. And then his argument for it and countering it is, what does that have to do with anything about the last argument? We aren't talking about him looking at artifacts, nor are we talking about how he's doing in relationships. We're talking about him getting punched in the fucking face and getting fucked. Like, what? Okay, alright. Maybe he needs to fully explain his argument.
It's why at the end of The Last Crusade, when he's dangling in that precipice and his dad has him, he just watched Elsa fall to her death trying to get the Grail. And when he's in that exact same position, what does he try to do? He tries to get the Grail. He's enticed by it. His father has to tell him to let it go. He always needs somebody else to kind of bring him back to reality. In the case of this movie, his goddaughter literally does.
No, you dumb shit. He doesn't always need someone to bring him back to reality. You brought an example from one time in the movie. And you know what? Indy has a pretty good reason to try grabbing that Holy Grail. The thing literally fucking heals you. Of course you would want to grab that. And also as an artifact. The thing that snapped him out of reality was Sean Connery calling him by his actual Indiana Jones name. Okay? Punching someone out and dragging them, like, against their will is just, it's just fucked. It is so fucked. And again, look at the first one. He's never had that issue. He didn't need someone to snap him out of reality. The second one, he was probably the only sane fucker in that entire movie, let's be honest. The third one, sure, you got one tiny example of him losing reality. Put down quotations. And then even the fourth one, he's the first fucker in there to say, we need to get the fuck out of here. This is bad. So what do you mean? He always needs someone to snap him back into reality. You just pulled that out of your fucking ass. Alright, that's the end of his fucking video. I'm not watching any more of that garbage. That was just fucking dreadful. But yeah, that's the end of this crap. I talked about Indiana Jones for well over 2.5 hours at this point. Yeah, what a fucking nightmare. I hope you all enjoyed it. Even though this movie is fucking crap, it was pretty fun to edit it all together and make little gags and visual humors, and it's fun. I enjoy editing for the most part. But yeah, thanks for sticking around, even for part 2. That's pretty cool. Even if you got this far, I don't know if you do or not. Person watching this fucking video. Yeah, stay away from this film. Stay away from anything that's made by Lucasfilm, honestly. Try to get Disney to sell that shit for $100 on Craigslist and it'll be great. I guess that's the end. So you all get the fuck out of here.